Ladies and gentlemen, diehards of all ages, welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. It's Monday, time for the best MMA show on the net today. How's everybody doing? Welcome into the chat. We got my guy Dream in the house kicking us off. Already been busy with baseball season, so I haven't been able to catch it live. Always catching the replay. Shout out, my friend. Appreciate you. You people in your baseball, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. Is it weird that I don't get it? Like, I love going to baseball games. If you get me to a baseball game and I can get a hot dog or I can get some pretzels and hang out and drink, and that's a good time, okay? Atmosphere is everything. But if you just put baseball on the TV, I'm bored out of my freaking mind. I have to bet like plus 800 home run props to be entertained whatsoever. I don't know how you guys do it on a daily basis. What's up, Colby? What's up, Dixon? We got Grateful Dude in the house. Ethan asking, did you get your S kicked in? Too early in the show to curse. Did you get your S kicked in as bad as I did this week? The answer is yes, Ethan. The answer is yes. We'll run back through the card here real quick. Surprising nobody. You know, I really thought 2026 was going to be the breakout season for me here. You know what I mean? I thought we were going to finally turn it around. I've been on a literal 2-year downswing. I thought this was going to be the year. I felt really, really good about my reads. All three of the last three events, by the way, I've felt spectacular about my reads. And I'm just doing the usual Clint thing. I am your friendly neighborhood degenerate gambler. I am reading the board relatively well and then betting on all the things I'm wrong about. The advice is okay. The reads are pretty good, but I'm not making money on any of the good stuff. I hope the show is helpful to some of you guys because I'm getting whooped so far to start the year. Ryan, what is up, buddy? Air Dog in the house. Louis, Mac Jr., Justin Cash, Cameron Junk. What's up, everybody? BTB. How we doing? And the Jeff Neal KO. C Curse, what's up? Highlighted the wrong comment there. The Jeff Neal knockout. My Lord. That was absolute insanity, you guys. And you know what? I'm really kicking myself here. I made a rookie error, okay? Because I did end up taking the Jeff Neal knockout prop at minus 135 before kickoff. The under 1.5, a bunch of money came in on the over, which I thought was really weird, by the way. But the over 1.5 for that fight, or sorry, the under 1.5 for that fight was like minus 140, minus 150 when it closed. Rather than the minus 135 on the KO, I should have just played the stupid under just in case, because Uros has a tendency to go off. A couple people said Uros I saw online this week, and props to them because I'll be honest with you guys, that's one of those ones where I just never saw it coming. I'm glad it was a 1-unit play or a to win 1-unit play for me because I could have just like pushed all my chips in the middle on Jeff Neal this week, and thank God I didn't because it would have been even worse than it already was. So, woof. Round 3, what is going on? Welcome to the show. MK, what's going on? And yeah, there's an opinion for sure. We'll get into that. All right, guys. I am going to go ahead and bring in our guest. We'll recap last week's last week's card just a little bit here for you to kick off the show, and then we'll dig in to UFC Mexico City. Do me a favor, share the show, please. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. But welcome in Mike, the Couch Warrior, longtime friend of the show. Been a guest a couple of times, but it's been a minute. So good to have you on the screen, my man. How you doing today?
Yeah, it's been a while, Clint, but I'm hyped to be here. When you hit me up today, I was like, I mean, I'm not fully prepared, but I'm down. So I'm glad to be here. It's a hard card to bet on, I think. And it was a hard card to kind of get into because it's like you look at all these lines and it's like, I'm not going to bet Cristian Quiñonez minus 500. I know I'm not going to bet Chris Moutinho. So do I really want to tape it? And it was kind of like that for a lot of the fights, but been doing my best and I'm excited to talk about it.
I appreciate you jumping in here, my guy. I really do. And this is a rough card. I mean, not to, I'm just going to ruin all of my viewership right off the top. People are going to disconnect because I keep saying how bad this card sucks. But the UFC is making some decisions these days. There's not a whole lot we can do about it. It's either you watch the fights or you don't at this point, man. Slim pickings. How'd you do last week, though? How'd you do at Houston?
Thanks to Carlos Leal and Chidi going the distance, it did well. That pretty much kept me going because most of my reads weren't that great. I had Dan Ige money line. That one was super frustrating, Clint, because my initial read was Ige. Who did he just get knocked out? Ige Melky under 2.5 or fight doesn't go. And then I talked myself onto Ige somehow with no money on the under. Gets knocked out, so that hurt. And then I had some other spots, like I took a shot on Josiah Harrell. That didn't work out. Luis Garule didn't work out. But the props were good. Edwards ITD and the Carlos Leal decision plus 1,000. Ended up profiting, I think, just over a unit. Sorry about that.
You know what? That was the sharpest bet I've seen anybody this week make. Okay. Like people can talk about getting, big cashes on like minus 180 numbers and stuff like that. There's something to be said for laying chalk, but my God, hitting the fight goes the distance on Leal and Nezachukwu. That's one of those fights where I warned everybody, man. Last week, I was like, people are pounding the under here. Chidi has this weird ability to go 15 minutes. At 170 pounds. I don't know if it's because he conserves energy because of how much weight he cuts, or he's fading, so maybe he's not hitting as hard as he used to. Like, I don't know what it is, but somehow Chidi, a guy who should be a dead nuts under, whether he's winning or losing, always ends up going 15. So I mentioned, hey, this one might go over. I never saw it going the full distance. So props to you, man, for hitting that, because that's a crazy number and just a beautiful cap of the way that fight played out.
Thank you, Clint. Thank you.
Beautiful. So first fight of the night, Juliana Miller, Carly Judice. That one went about as expected. I thought Miller was going to have a little more success than people expected her to, but still end up losing the fight. I did think she was going to get TKO'd, in the third round or something like that. So props to her for hanging in there and showing some toughness. I think she earned a little bit of respect even in a loss in that spot, but Crispy just looks like she's the goods, man. This girl is going to be phenomenal as she gets older if she keeps developing at the rate she is right now.
Agreed.
There's not a whole lot left to be said there. Jordan, leave it though, my man. He pulls the upset.
That was crazy. That was nuts.
So I wish this is one of those ones where, hindsight is 2020. The over was so simple, Mike. I bet it. I did bet it, so I'm allowed to talk about it, right? Like, I was on point with this over, but why I didn't hammer it, why I didn't make it a bigger bet. I talked about how the under was juiced because of recency bias with Yadir, because of the round one thing with Bulgarian, and it was just such an obvious over 1.5 spot, regardless of taking the distance, regardless of taking the dog. I'm like, Jordan Leavitt is not going to get submitted by this guy in the first 5 minutes of this fight. It's just not going to happen. So I am kicking myself, even though I was right, even though I cashed. Like, I'm mad I didn't make more money on this over 1.5. That number got smashed. If you guys were watching, there were some heavy line moves right before these fights ticked off, and that one went up to like minus 190 right before the fight started. I played it at minus 145, so it got steamed right before the fight went off. I didn't have the balls to actually outright bet Jordan Leavitt, but I kind of warned everybody that I was like, we're still not sure what Yadir is right now. So thank God I avoided the parlay buster. I think a lot of people had their night ruined on the second fight of the night.
Yeah, I was kicking myself there because I had Wheezy on that week for my show, and we were talking about the over and the fight goes, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, plus 195, okay. And then I went to the tape later on in the week. I like to retape fights, and I was thinking, okay, I saw Yadir sub or decision plus 105. Maybe I'll do that. And I taped it. I was like, no, I don't like it. Something's off here. I'm just going to stay away. And I passed on the fight goes. I passed on Leavitt, and there you go. He comes out there. Literally the first takedown, I hit up all my group chats. I was like, yeah, Bulgarian through that fight, bro.
Yep, it's over. He's cooked, man. He's right now. You've got Cash Patel. He's on his way back from the Olympics, partying with the USA team hockey. He's on his way back to arrest Isaac Bulgarian right this minute. He's in flight. It's happening. The next one, man, hurt my soul. Phil Rowe and John Paul. It went to a split decision. And I know a lot of people are going to say I'm crazy about this one, man. But first and foremost, I'll say the normal thing. If the fight goes to a split decision, I want the plus 180, right? Hook or crook, doesn't matter if there's bad judging. If it's a split decision, I want the plus 180, not the minus 250, right? So I feel good about my read on it. Secondly, if you looked at their faces, like Phil Rowe won that fight. Every time he touched John Paul, he was like stumbling backwards. His face was swollen. He was all busted. I needed Phil Rowe to do just anything more. And of course, when they do like the point to the center of the cage, final 10 seconds of the fight, he unloads just like this beautiful boxing combo. And he has John Paul's head like a Pez dispenser, like flying around over there. It's like, you could have done that the whole fight, man. I was so frustrated. I know that was an okay bet. In fact, it might have been a good bet. Phil Rowe, there's an argument he won rounds 2 and 3 based off damage. Yes, he got taken down a couple times, but he obviously was hurting and doing more physical, visible damage to John Paul than it was the other way around. That like he easily could have won that fight. I could have gotten the win on my Phil Rowe underdog play, but I'm still going to probably just retire any bets on Phil Rowe ever because I'm so sick of screaming for the guy to do something at the end of a fight, especially when he's got it in the bag. I've lost too much money on this guy almost being good enough.
I had round 2-3 on Rowe there because I've learned my lesson to the point where I also thought there was value on Rowe going into it, and I almost played the money line. And I talk about it sometimes. I don't want my hair to thin any more than it already has at my age, so I don't like to bet guys like Phil Rowe because
see, I got nothing left, so I don't got to worry about it.
He's just constantly stuck on his back. So I just played the 2-3, and like you said, like if he just threw more, because we saw it in the last couple seconds, like he was landing, and when he landed well, but he just doesn't do anything half the fight. I don't know what's going on there, and now he's probably going to get cut. So I don't think we have to worry about it, betting on him anymore.
And the worst part for me is the round that he most obviously won, which was round 3, because he did the damage, especially at the end of the round. That's the most obvious Phil Rowe round that you can give him. 2 of the judges gave him round 2, and the guy who scored everything like wonky the whole night, he didn't give Phil Rowe round 3. So I legitimately should have won that bet, whether people cry robbery or not, because if you score it correctly, Phil wins round 3, right? That's the round you've got to give him. And the one guy who gave him round 2 but not round 3, which makes no sense. Like fucking judges, man, every freaking time. Sam in the chat saying, can we skip the recap? I got killed last week. I know, I'm sorry. It's painful for me too, buddy. I'm sorry. Jocelyn Edwards, what a crazy fight that was, man. I've got a couple of things to say on this one. So she looked bad to start. Like Nora really looked like she was coming out to win the rematch, and then it turned on a dime. Like she hit one takedown, blew Nora's clavicle out, which just freak accident in MMA. Should have been a TKO, not a sub. I mean, I don't know what the ref was waiting for, because Nora is like completely done, out of it, staring at the ceiling. And then Jocelyn's following up with like huge ground and pound shots, and he's still not stepping in until she finally grabs a neck and chokes her out. I thought I was going to hit just a massive submission special this past week. I was so convinced this card was going to be violence top to bottom. As soon as Jocelyn got the choke, that was one of those like gifts from God, that it's like, you never should have gotten this submission prop, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. I thought I was in for a huge night because of that. Didn't pan out that way. But the big complaint I've got, man, is honestly Paramount. Like they've got a camera guy putting the camera right in the face of Nora as she's like sobbing her eyes out. We're talking a professional fighter, people who are trained to deal with pain. They're not letting her out of the cage for God knows what reason. The doctor is not coming in to assist her for God knows what reason. They have her sitting on the stool, and she's just sobbing silently in pain by herself, holding her clavicle that is shattered. And they're like, oh, let's stick the camera in her face. And I'm like, I tweeted about this. I'm like, I know the cameraman's got a job to do, right? And somebody corrected me. It's not the cameraman's fault. That is his job. But it's the freaking producer's fault. Like, cut away, man. Like, signal John Anik. Give me some stats. Cue up the next fight. I don't need 2 minutes of sobbing Nora Cornell on my TV. It's one thing if we're replaying a knockout and the guy gets like flatlined or whatever. It's something completely different when they're sitting there in pain and we're all just going to sit around and watch them while we have, gummies and Coke. Like, I don't get it. Like, that one really frustrated me, frankly. But anybody who bet Jocelyn Edwards parlay inside the distance, whatever, congrats, because that was beautiful. Sorry for my rant.
No, you're good. You're good. I had Edwards ITD there. I did not feel good about it after the first round. I'll say that much. But she came through, thankfully.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so BT asking, why did you parlay that? It was a goated call, got greedy. Yeah, man, and that's kind of the thing. I've been focusing on doing less of my like crazy props and stuff like that because I feel like that's been a bit of a hole for me lately, is I've done these big long shots, my round 3 sprinkles, the sub props, the inside the distances, etc. I've been getting killed on those, man. So I've cut it down to where I'm doing 1 or 2 long shot parlays for just tiny little sprinkles, hoping to hit like a big crazy lottery ticket or something, and then just sticking with money lines and totals. So yeah, that one looks great in hindsight, but overall I have not been hitting these. So that's why I'm tying them into lottery tickets rather than just, playing them straight for the big numbers, at least until I start hitting them more regularly. Once I start kind of lining them up and knocking them down again, then I'll start playing them straight again as well. So I understand it's definitely minus EV to parlay stuff like that long term. But again, I'm scratching off lotto tickets here at this point until I get a little bit more consistent with those reads. Alden Correa look fantastic. I know you said you had Luis Garule.
Yeah.
I do not for the life of me understand the obsession with Garule, man. Ever since he got to the UFC, I missed fade opportunities with him. In fact, I got blown up by Ode Osborne parlaying him in that fight because I don't know. It was one of those ones where I didn't really trust myself. I didn't see it in the tape. And I had some smart people who I respect who told me he was the goods. And I was like, okay, like maybe I'm missing something. And grappler versus Ode Osborne, let's go. I'll take that any day. And so thankfully I at least got away from it in this one, but I didn't bet Alden Correa in any way, shape, or form. So I didn't even get my money back, which is unfortunate. I like this Alden Correa kid. I think he's gonna be good. Hopefully he continues to develop. Obviously, he gets hit. There's some holes in his game and stuff like that, but I see some flashes of brilliance from him. So I'm excited. Did you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, he looked good. I kind of figured that was always a possibility. I just felt like, Garule, I did think is a solid fighter enough that I didn't think he should be like plus. I think I played plus 240, but yeah, he had no answer for Correa. He kind of just got hit the whole time. So not the greatest bet I've made.
Tough stuff. We already touched on Chidi and Leal. Crazy fight, man. I thought Leal was going to get busted up, and towards the end of that fight, he was taking big shots and just continuing to walk forward. Dude is a madman. For those of you who missed the beginning and are joining in now, Mike actually cashed that fight, goes the distance, and at a 10-1 spot on Leal by decision. Absolute insanity. Zach Reese and Michelle Pereira, the worst fight on the card. What the hell, man? So I had Michelle Pereira inside the distance on this one. And I still, for the life of me, can't believe it didn't happen. The shots, Zachary Reese found a chin. He must have gone to Turkey and had like a surgically implanted chin. He's got steel bars in there now or something, because the shots Pereira was hitting him with, I've seen him go down for in the past, and he's just not falling over anymore. So I don't know if he's on the EPO or what's happening, but he seems to be taking damage a lot better than he used to. So we need to watch out for that. But these guys basically just had like a gas fest. Both of them are completely exhausted with their hands down, throwing at each other from way far out. Even when they did the point to the center of the cage, slug it out for the last 20 seconds thing, they threw like 3 punches. It was embarrassing. And Michelle Pereira was like a soccer player out there, man. Like every time anything got anywhere near him, he's crying foul and taking a full 5 minutes to recover. He was gassed after 3 minutes in this fight. I don't understand. The fall off of Michelle Pereira has been absolute insanity. And somehow he gets his hand raised at the end of it. I thought Zach Reese won the fight. And again, I had the inside the distance bet, so really no dog in the fight as far as the final outcome goes when it goes to the full 3 rounds. I thought Zacharias won the fight.
Yeah, I had no money there, thank God. I'm really grateful that I didn't. So I was also checked out. I wasn't really paying a ton of attention. From what I saw, I felt like Zachary should have won, and it looks like everybody agrees. But yeah, I'm just glad I stayed away from that one.
Yeah, no kidding. What a terrible shit show of a fight. Jacoby Smith looked like $1 million. Daniel Cormier might be onto something with that kid. I said he looks like Yoel Romero, just physically speaking. We'll see what he ends up developing at. Shout out my guy Andrew Babakitis, who hit us up and let us know that the big guy from Superbook Sports came in on Sergey Spivak, and some of the people who may have watched my Friday stream, we tailed on that, cashed on Sergey Spivak. That was fun. Crazy fight. I thought he was going to go down a couple times, man. Ante hit him with some big shots, but his boxing looked clean. Ante's just a disappointment. And then Dan Ige and Milky Costa. I know you've got some thoughts on this one. I never saw that coming, man. I kind of feel like I've not been able, I don't know what it is. I can't get on the Milky Costa train. I did a little bit at the beginning, but I keep thinking he's like this mid-range guy. You know what I mean? Like he's going to struggle with, the power shots, and the kicking range will be good, but against somebody durable, like he's going to have to survive and stay alive and hold the range. No, he just spin heel kicks Dan Ige in the freaking jaw, becomes the first guy to knock the legend out. Like it's crazy what he's done in the last couple fights. And I guess I better start believing, because I did not think Milky Costa was ever knocking Dan Ige out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of saw it coming, talked about it all week, and didn't play it. So I'm kind of in the same boat. Yeah, I think Milky's the goods. Is he going to be champ? Like, I don't know, probably not, but he's clearly going to be at the top of the division for a while, and it's cool to see. And unfortunately, it does seem like Ige's probably done. I think he's taken too much damage. It was kind of inevitable that eventually that chin's going to go.
Eventually it's going to go, but geez, I never picked it to be Milky Costa, the guy that was going to put the nail in the coffin there. Crazy. We talked about Jeff Neal and Uros Medic a little bit already. That result just absolutely stunned me. Never saw Uros winning a boxing match with Jeff Neal, but
did Medic look thicker to you than usual?
He did,
right? Like up here, especially, like he looked thick.
He looked like he's gotten on a big boy workout routine for sure. He filled out. He looked good. His hands looked fast, man, which is crazy. But I mean, how wild to go from getting KO'd by Punahele Soriano to knocking out Muslim Slikov and Jeff Neal in back-to-back fights. Like, I'm looking at, he gets into a firefight with Gilbert Urbina, right? Like he gets knocked out by Puna. There's no way he's taking a step up in competition and surviving here. I don't know. Somehow, some way, this psycho Uros Medic, the only guy ever to be successful out of Alaska FC, might actually be okay. And then the insanity continues. Sean Strickland and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Dude, to anybody that made the bet on Sean Strickland, congratulations. Because I knew it was going to be tough sledding for the first round or two for Fluffy. But if there's anybody who can cardio match Sean Strickland and then start to like build on that and put it on him as the fight drags on, it'd be Fluffy. Now, I gratefully, thankfully, I knew that I wanted to get in on this maybe live or something like that. There were other spots that were better on the card. Sean has a tendency to fight close with people. So I didn't parlay the -270, -300 on Fluffy. Thank God for that, because I thought about it multiple times throughout the week. Sean Strickland blows up everything. And not only that, he gets a knockout. We've been talking about Fluffy being weak to the body for years now. And just like Melky, I never thought Sean was going to be the guy to pay that off. Like, I'm thinking Fluffy gets by pillow-fisted jab merchant Sean Strickland, and the next guy knocks him out. But no, Sean Strickland is using knees in the clinch and ripping the body of Anthony Hernandez, and round 3 goes down. Like, that was an insane result, and people made an absolute bag off of a +220 cashing out there. So props to you guys if you had the balls to bet that.
I looked stupid, Clint, because all week I was saying, like, everybody always talks about Fluffy being weak to the body. It didn't work with Kopolov. It didn't work with Shabazi, and it didn't work with Delitse. Like, Strickland's not going to do it. And there we go. And I lost I had the fight goes there. So that didn't work out.
Dude, this fucking sport, like seriously, you say you win or you learn, but like sometimes you can't even learn because it's like we do all the tape study, we do all the research, we talk for hours, and then some shit like that happens where it's like you had all the pieces of the puzzle to prove that was never going to be the case, and somehow it still is. So I mean, it's just wild, man. And I gotta, so, I don't know who it was. Somebody fumbled the bag here for me because I warned everybody in the chat. I said the next time we go to Texas, remind me to not go big, because everything is always batshit crazy in Texas. I don't know why, but every time the UFC goes to Texas, whether it's the judges' scorecards, the results, the fights are weird. It's like there's a full moon, something's in the water. I don't understand, but it's insanity every time we go to Texas. Now, somehow, I don't know how, as I was reading through this, we skipped over the Ramiz Brahimaj and Punahele Soriano fight, which was my biggest L of the night. The thing that single-handedly buried me on the card, the reason I came away with an L was this. Ramiz Brahimaj was my biggest bet of the night, man. And I got to tell you, somebody told me on Friday, they were like, so Puna did an interview and he doesn't want to wrestle. He's just going to strike. I was nervous from the line movement because I got a bad number on Ramiz. It had been Puna money all week, changing that thing to a pick'em. It even flipped to Puna being the favorite. I kind of felt like I was dead in the water going into the fight with a big bet at a bad number on Ramiz. And then I found out, oh, Puna wants to strike in this fight. And I went, oh, thank God. That's going to bail me out. Like, that is absolute, because there is no chance he beats Ramiz in a 15-minute striking match. And it looked so good in round one, Mike. Ramiz is doing whatever he wants. He's faster. He's more technical. He's picking Puna apart. And even when he gets hit with like one big shot, like, he's tough. He's durable. He recovers. He just switches it up a little bit and he's out of range again. I was just in heaven watching that first round. And then in round two, he decides to grapple. And then in round three, he sticks to the grappling and he's exhausted from trying to push around the bigger man in the cage. What the fuck, Ramiz? I was like, oh my, like, just watching that fight, I'm like ripping out my beard because he easily wins round one. And if he could just strike for the rest of the night, we're golden. If you know what, if he wins 2 rounds striking and then wants to grapple in the third to mix it up, we're golden. But he gave Puna the one thing he needed to win the fight, and that was engaging in the grappling. And he got reversed, and he got put on bottom, and he got tired. I mean, just awful game planning, awful in-fight decision making, and it cost me a freaking pile. So I'm pissed off at Ramiz. I felt like that was a really good bet, and this is where you guys, you can have the entire playbook. If the fighter has a game plan that doesn't match what I'm thinking, like, you're just dead. You're just dead. I honestly believe if you run that back and you just tell him, slap him in the face and say no grappling, he's going to strike with you, no grappling. Like, Ramiz wins that fight 30-27. I'm annoyed.
Yeah, I could feel that. I'm glad that's another one I stayed away from because I just couldn't really trust either guy. I leaned slightly Puna, but I was also kind of like scarred after the Mu and Gaffarov fight where he got himself choked out with 1 second left.
Yeah, literally 1 second left on the clock.
And like at that point, even had he survived that guillotine, because he put himself into it, he had lost on 2 judges' scorecards. So it was like, dude, what on earth even happened? And then going into the Puna fight, I was like, something similar can happen. I'm just gonna stay away, and I'm glad I did.
Dude, picking your spots to stay away from in this sport is probably the best thing you can possibly master. And unfortunately, I seem to see value in like the lowest level fights for God knows what reason. So I'm always just steering head first.
I do the same thing. It's been a major work in progress.
Oh, good Lord. All right. Well, maybe this is where it turns around, you guys, but wait until we dig into this card. I don't know. See, we got some stuff to talk about. Do me a favor and hit that like button. Mike's info is in the description below. You guys, make sure you support him. Give him a follow on socials. His YouTube is down there as well. Check out the podcast, the Couch Warrior podcast, and let's dig into UFC Mexico City. First fight of the night. We got party time. Wes Schultz, and he's taking on Damian Pinas, the Baby Yaga. The Baba Yaga. I don't know what the Baba Yaga means. I'm going to be honest with you. Do you have any clue what the Baba Yaga comes from?
I don't know for him. In Russian, it's like a witch.
Oh.
I don't know if it's different for him because he's not Russian, but in Russian, it means witch.
Okay. I'm glad I asked. Good to know. Maybe there's something there. So we've got Wes Schultz, who's 8-2, 29 years old. He's making his UFC debut off Dana White's Contender Series. And you guys brace yourselves. You're gonna hear that all night. This is a Dana White's Contender Series card. Like they literally, Dana White was like, we're going, Hunter, we're going to Mexico City. Get me the Mexicans. I need more Mexicans. It's all Dana White's Contender Series guys, a lot of debutants, and they just piled them all together on this card to go to Mexico City. So it's a lot of names you've either heard of once or maybe not at all. Buckle in. Wes Schultz was actually a 2 times Dana White Contender Series prospect. In his first fight, he got knocked out cold by Mansour Abdul-Malik in the second round. They brought him back. They let him run it again, and he got a first round KO over a 7-0 undefeated prospect. So I have a rule, Mike. I really don't like these 2-timer contestants on Dana White's Contender Series. And again, the little asterisk next to that is unless you're a guy that the UFC is trying to like spotlight or push, like a Bo Nickel when they were trying to get him some additional cage time. So they brought him back again. You know what I mean? Guys like that, they're excluded, right? If you legitimately go out there and you lose your first fight and they bring you back for a second one, I think those guys suck. Just generally speaking, I'm going to put together a database because I don't think they have a very good record in the UFC overall after going on the show twice. So Wes Schultz already has kind of a knock against him here. He's pretty quick on his feet. He's got long, stabby kicks. He gets a little too wild, man. Too many spins for my liking, but constant movement. I like his leg kicks. He showed some good ability to scramble. He's got good butterfly hooks when he gets put on his back. Good job building back to his feet. But, man, he got clipped by Mansour a couple of times in that first round. Chin checked out pretty well. You know, Mansour hits like a truck. So for him to be able to take some big shots and taking until the second round for it to actually put him down, okay, his chin is all right here. But he does get bullied. He does end up backing up a lot. He does struggle when he gets put back up against the cage. And that's a bit of a red flag for me. Pinas is 1-8, 23 years old, also debuting off of Dana White's Contender Series. His win was a 1 minute and 40-second KO on Contender Series. And this kid's got really smooth hands, man. Really slick boxing. He's a knockout artist. He's got serious horsepower, very physical, very explosive, strong hips. He's got nice counter hooks when he's like in tight. And then that right cross of his is just a piston. He's got multiple walk-off KOs on his resume from that right hand. As soon as he lands it, this dude knows. So this is a fun fight between a couple guys that are really going to just go in there and bang it out. And I can't help but side with the KO artist, man. Pinas is a guy who's going to be probably a little overvalued because of that power, but he reminds me a lot of Mansour, where he's going to come forward, he's going to throw boxing combos, he's going to crowd the kicker, and I think eventually he finds that right hand on Wes Schultz. Minus 250 might be a little bit much here, but I got Pinas, man, and I think he's probably going to win by knockout. So what about you?
Yeah, so like I told you before the show, I haven't gotten to tape a lot of these fights, and I did not get to tape this one just because I'm not running to the window to get involved with either guy. Like Wes Schultz, I like him in that he's a dog. He's a good grappler. I do think he brings the fight, and I think against Mansour, like it was a solid performance. Like it's a tough ask. It was on Dana White's Contender Series, and it took him gassing for Mansour to get him out of there. So I do think he's tough, and I do think that Damian's a 0 on the mat. Like he's extremely athletic and he's hard to get there, but I do think that he's a white belt. And I do think that if Schultz can get him down there, maybe he can submit him, maybe ground and pound, or maybe just dominate and win rounds that way. I have to tape it, but I do think that Pinas's power is like serious. And I do think the dude is legit. And I do think he has a high ceiling. He's got the build for it. He already has the skills, but he's super untested also in the cardio department. And we're in Mexico City at elevation. So it's not like Schultz is a cardio beast either, but I do kind of lean towards Schultz having the better cardio. And especially if he's making Pinas grapple, I feel like Pinas will probably gas quicker than Schultz will. So it could get really greasy. A lot of these fights, I think, are going to get really, really greasy because of the elevation.
I hear you, man. And that's one thing, you guys, you want to do your stalking this week. Jump on Instagram, see when these fighters are getting out there, see when they posted their first picture in Mexico City, because cardio death is a real thing. And Mike, I know I'm a little bit older than you, man, but seriously, the last thing you want on this card is an exhausted Pinas. I'm sorry, guys. It was right there. I had to. All right, let's move along. The next fight of the night, Erik Silva takes on Francis the Fire Marshall. And Mike, I completely forgot about Erik Silva. Like
Me too, dude. Me too.
I saw this guy's face and I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, I didn't even remember he existed. This is a late in life bloomer, you guys. He's from Venezuela, 9-3 overall record here. He's got 2 fights in the UFC so far. He's 0-2 in both. He's from Dana White's Contender Series, and he's staring down the barrel a little bit in this one because now he's so old after a 2-year-long layoff. He got his knee blown out by Muhammad Naimov, you guys, 44 seconds into that fight. Really weird fight. Awkward scramble. Looks like his leg buckles when he gets hit or something like that. And he's taken 2 years off because of it. TJ Brown in his UFC debut got this guy to the mat and basically mauled him for 2 rounds and then was able to choke him out deep into the third. So cardio seems like it might be a little bit of a problem. 38 years old. That's not overly shocking. 38 years old at elevation against another grappler. I mean, the script on this one kind of writes itself, Mike. I don't think Francis Marshall is the kind of guy who should be a 5-1 favorite, but here we are. You've got a cardio machine who's training at ATT, who's 26 years old, who's a grapple heavy type of fighter, taking on a 38-year-old man who's 0-2 at this level, who's coming off of a 2-year-long layoff, who kind of gets stuck on his back, who has cardio problems. Like, he's going to have to catch Francis Marshall with something really big to be able to win this fight. The only time Francis Marshall has ever been finished was Isaac Dulgarian when he had money on himself instead of on his opponent. He got pounded out in the very first round. That's the only guy that's been able to finish him. He went to a split decision. 3 of his last 4 fights have gone to a split decision. William Gomi, Denis Bezukia, and Marion Santos. The win over Denis Bezukia, I mean, a split decision with Denis is not the best thing in the world. That's not really what you want to see. But both Marion Santos and William Gomi are serious caliber prospects. Those are not bad split decisions to be going to. And this kid is getting better. He's training at a really good gym. You know, ATT has got all the right vitamins. They've got all the right guys for you to work with. I expect Francis to be getting better. I do not like this price, Mike. Like, I'm going to have such a hard time on this card because I'm a dog hunter. I'm a short chalk player. I'm a 2-leg parlay kind of guy. You're going to have to parlay 3 people to get even money on this card. Like, every single number is just blown up on this whole card. So I don't know that I want Francis Marshall at minus 500 in my slips for this week, but I think he wins this fight. I would not be shocked if he kind of does what TJ did and gets like a late finish around 3 or something like that. You know, going to split decisions every single time, it leaves a dirty taste in your mouth. I think he needs to go out there and kind of make a statement. I could see him getting that win and do it a little bit more impressively this time.
Yeah, this is a weird fight. I also haven't looked into this one yet. Erik Silva, do you know why he's been gone so long, Clint?
I think it's
probably that injury, right?
Yeah. So I wasn't able to verify that it was like an ACL or anything like that, but it reminds me of football because when he went down, he grabbed his knee immediately. Like he wasn't out of it as far as the punches that were coming his way. He went down, the ref saw him reach for his leg, and he's been gone since. So I can't verify that it was like an ACL, but I think it was an ACL.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's not good. Hasn't fought since then. Bad injury. He's 12 years older at 38 years old. Sorry, my camera does that sometimes, and I got to fix it with my finger. But yeah, he's 12 years older. He's also a grappler, and he's fighting Marshall, who I believe is probably a better grappler, a better wrestler. And I'm just not really sure what he can do to win the fight. So I haven't run to tape this one for obvious reasons. I doubt that I'll be on Marshall at minus 500. Like you said, the late props could be something, but I took a quick look while you were talking. And at least on Bet Online, Marshall round 2 is plus 250 and round 3 is plus 500. So it's not really workable. So it's probably going to be a pass for me, but we'll see what domestics give us on some props. Okay.
No, I don't hate that. 7-1 now. Zach, I can't find your last comment, man. What is 7-1? What are you looking at now that's 7-1? Is that, are you keeping the score? Is that you
I think
versus
you might
me?
be telling you Francis Marshall is now minus 700 is my guess.
I'm looking at DraftKings and he's still minus 520. It wouldn't shock me if he was higher at some other books.
Yeah, Fight Odds has him 700 on Bet Online.
Okay.
couple of books.
I thought he was dunking on me. I thought Zach was just like, no, I got you 7-1. No, just messing. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. Meropix says that it got stuck in the cage. I think
I think it was like the gap between the fence and like the mat, I guess.
Gotcha. So like I said, I saw the buckling of his, the buckling motion. I didn't catch that his foot got caught in the cage. So yeah. Okay.
I remember that one.
Good deal. No, Zach, never dunk on Clay. No. Take the shot if you got it, man. Take it. Are you kidding me? I can take it. All right, next fight, you guys. Ernesta Caracate takes on Sofia Montenegro. This should be a really fun fight, Mike. This should be a really good fight. I like Caracate. She's 27 years old, 6-1-1. She's 1-1 so far in the UFC. She is tall, man. This is a big woman, really flowing striking for her size too. She keeps a high volume up. She can get taken down, and most people are going to try that because they really don't want to stand with her, but she knows how to build back up to her feet. She's shown really good hips. Her fight against Cagliari, I think that was her last fight. She got taken down early, and then in round 2, she was sprawling like an absolute pro, man. Stuffing the head, hips all the way back. Like, she had a real tough time in the first. And then Cagliari was never able to get the grappling going after that. So she makes good adjustments, and that takedown defense is definitely there. She does a good job of staying on the front foot. She moves forward a whole lot. She attacks the body. Good feints. She strikes mostly in combos, which is nice. It's not a one and done type of situation. I like this girl. She's circled for me, man. This is someone I'm going to keep my eyes on. Sofia Montenegro, 6-2, 26 years old. This is her UFC debut off of a split decision loss on Dana White's Contender Series. How many times have we said that? You lose on Dana White's Contender Series, and yet you still get the call. No going back to the regional scene. No getting a knockout against some bum on, cannon fodder type fighter before they call you up. They signed her off a split decision loss. So I don't know if that's a vouch of, they like her, or maybe it was just fight of the night. Like, I don't know what to make of that, but usually you don't get signed when you lose. She can get backed up. It doesn't seem like she's got a lot of power to me, man. I've watched a couple of fights of hers where she just gets in there and slugs it out. She's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. She wants to get in there and trade hands, but I've seen her on the losing side of the power equation, and she ends up being the one moving backwards instead of the one going forwards. And she gets cut up a lot. It's weird. For a woman, she's got like soft, like really thin skin or something in her face, because she gets busted up and bleeding in a lot of her fights, which is weird. Now, if she gets the grappling going, she's very opportunistic. Good back takes, good back control, good triangle lock up from there. So she can salt away some time from the back position if she can get there. But it's weird that she's someone who doesn't take damage well. She's training at the UFC PI. It looks like she's working with Ailín Pérez, which, she's good. Obviously that's somebody who you can improve with for sure. She's young. So it seems like it's okay. She's going to be a fun fighter here in the UFC. But I think this is very clearly a Caracate fight, in my opinion. I think Sofia is going to find out real quick, being the smaller woman in there, that she can't bang with Ernesta. And then when she can't bang with Ernesta, she's going to shoot. And when she shoots desperately, Ernesta is going to pancake her ass, and she's going to send her forehead into the canvas with how hard she sprawls on her. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Ernesta gets a KO in this spot, man. I'm not going to lie. Minus 290 here for Ernesta. I know you don't like to lay, and not you specifically, I know people don't like to lay big chalk price tags, especially with lower level or younger women's MMA fighters. I think Ernesta is good chalk this week, personally. Is this one that you touched on at all or got to?
Yeah. So this one I went into it pretty deep because I do like this fight a lot, and I do have a spot here, but personally, I think it's dog or pass. Personally, like I do like Caracate. I'm gonna call her Ernesta. I like Ernesta in general. She's got a long frame, good striker, throws a lot of output, tries hard. She's young, and I do think she's gonna keep filling in. I think at some point she might have to move up in weight class because you can already kind of see it.
For sure.
But here's my thing, right? She's got this length and she's got this reach advantage. Like in this fight, she's got a 4-inch reach advantage. Against Cagliari, she had 9 inches of reach advantage. She can't use it. I think it's partially because she doesn't have a lot of power, but she can't keep her range. She can't keep women away from her. And Cagliari was still able to land a lot on her. Barbosa was able to land a lot on her. Giudice, I know Giudice is great, but she also landed a ton on her. Her defense is very poor, and for somebody with that frame, she should have an ability to, pop a jab, use your teep kicks, maybe throw in a couple push kicks and maintain the range, use your movement, but she can't do that. And yeah, she's pretty solid in the pocket too. Like she's got decent hands, but I just think that her main advantage could be used a lot better if she's just maintaining the range, using her kicks, using that jab, and I don't think she does that. And she's fighting someone in Montenegro who does often move forward. I would say 90% of the time she's moving forward in her fights. I do think she throws with heat. And Ernesta does keep her chin pretty high. Like, she can't really help it. She's got the tall woman's defense. That's what happens when you're like 700 feet tall and at 125 as a woman. But I think that Montenegro, she's going to be backing her up. I think she's going to take away that kicking space because Ernesta, as it is, doesn't maintain the range. And I think she's going to land big shots. And I just think that Ernesta doesn't separate enough to be almost minus 300. She's won 5 times by decision, right? Every single one was a split. Every single one, because she's not separating in these fights. And the one time she lost, that was unanimous. But all her decision wins. Split decision, split decision, split decision. And I do think she can be grappled to an extent. I don't think it's Montenegro's main path, but I think that she could mix it in. I actually think she's a pretty good wrestler. She had a pretty slick takedown against Chavez on the Contender Series. That was pretty nice. And I do think she can mix it in a little bit. I like that she's aggressive when she's on top. She doesn't just lay there. She'll throw ground and pound. And I just think at plus 250, you could do a lot worse. And I think the UFC also is high on her. I think low key, she might be their A side. I think there's a reason they signed her off of that loss. Part of it might be because it was exciting. I think part of it is also because she's someone they've been eyeing, and she has been there for a while also. You mentioned it earlier, we want to look at who got there, in advance, who's getting there now. And from what I can tell, Chavez just got there, whereas Montenegro's been there already for a couple of weeks. And you mentioned it. She's training with Ailín Pérez, Julieta Martinez, if you remember her, the really young girl on the Contender Series. She won but didn't get signed. Dana wanted her to spend some more time. But super talented. And there's just a lot to like. And I think at plus 250, you could do a lot worse with an underdog. So for me, I like Montenegro here.
Okay. Good luck. We had a question in the chat regarding the plus 3.5. That number's not out yet. So you'll have to sit tight and we'll check back on that. But she's a pretty big dog. So I'll bet you probably get but close to even money, maybe a little bit of chalk. Usually they make you lay a little bit with that plus 3.5, since especially in a women's fight where split decisions are pretty common, they're understanding that you're probably going to get a rogue judge, or maybe it'll be a 1-round type of fight. So, maybe a minus 150 or something like that on it. Should be playable. I'm
checking real quick to see if Bet Online, I think, yeah, they do have it. They have Montenegro plus 3.5. It's going to be minus 120.
Hey, okay. There you go. Even a little cheaper than I thought. So maybe not a bad way to look. I'll be honest with you, Mike. I've really grown comfortable with those plus 3.5 spreads. I think those are a nice way to play these types of fights, because if it's going to be a 1-round fight, as long as you've got someone who's durable. My Song Yadong plus 3.5 was my favorite bet on the board when he fought Sean O'Malley. And, even if you miss out on the money line, if they win the fight outright, if you're thinking it's going to be a split decision, I should have bet the plus 3.5 with Phil Rowe this week. I thought Phil was going to knock him out. I didn't think I was going to need the plus 3.5. So I got greedy and took the plus 180 money line. That plus 3.5 would have cashed. So, yeah, it's a way to go about it. It's a way to go about it.
I also really like spreads. I used to play them way back in the day when they first came out. Like, I think it was 3 years ago. I used to use them a lot, but I learned the hard way. I think that in MMA, our judging just isn't good enough or consistent enough to lay chalk on spreads. I think at plus money, it's good. But I think if you're laying chalk on it, like, you can have the perfect read and you can be 100% right. And it just takes one judge to give a 30-27 where there shouldn't have been. I think it happened this past week, actually. Was it in the Giudice fight? Maybe I think there was a 30-27
Phantom 30-27.
Yeah, so like they sneak them in there sometimes, and it'll kill your spread. And you laid the chalk, and so I don't like it when they're chalky. But plus money spreads, I think, are a solid play sometimes.
Much like everything else, you got to pick your spots in this game. All right, guys, next fight. Douglas Silva de Andrade, the ageless Brazilian, returns, and he's taking on Javier Reyes. Didn't have any clue who Javier Reyes was, man. Another guy I had to really look into. 22-5, 32 years old, UFC debut, except he's from LFA. And yes, he's from Dana White's Contender Series. So another one we got making his UFC debut start here. This guy looks like Johnny Walker and Michelle Pereira had a baby. Like,
That's good.
or Michelle Pereira. He's a parkour drummer who teaches yoga and dance classes on the weekends. That's who this guy is. I'm not kidding. Crazy athletic, trains at elevation. He's known for coming on late in fights. He's got real good head movement. He's hard to control. He's hard to hold down. He explodes when people get onto him, and they can't hang on for long whenever he does that. Huge clinch knees when he gets in tight. He can get a little disrespectful with his offense where he's kind of playing with his hands low and stuff like that. He's a BJJ black belt. I mean, this guy should be fun, right? I know we've seen this prototype before. They never end up making it to the title or anything like that, but he's going to be fun. He'll put on a show. He'll win some fights. It's going to be a good time. Douglas Silva de Andrade, 29-6. This man is 40 years old. He is 3-3 in his last 6. He is 4-4 in his last 8. This man is 500 right now, running in the UFC. And the only time he's ever been knocked out was when he faced Piotr Jan. So just durable as ever, these ancient Brazilians that refuse to go away. He's still just hanging in there, man. He's fighting life and death with guys like Miles Johns, right? He's beating guys like Cody Stamen. His last couple of wins haven't really aged super well. Guys like Sergey Mozarov, just Henan Barao a bunch of years ago. Like, he doesn't have good wins anymore right now, but he fights well in his losses. He gets rocked a couple times. He'll hurt you back once or twice. It just seems like he's kind of been figured out. He's a little old. He's a little slow. So is he old and slow enough that someone like Javier Reyes is going to take out the trash here? I think so. Like, I don't trust Javier. He's been knocked out twice. He's been submitted once. I made the Michelle Pereira comparison very intentionally. He feels to me a lot like that. He's going to be a guy who's reckless. He'll go out there and he'll do stupid, dumbass things for the sake of entertainment and because he's having a good time. And so eventually he's going to get clipped and caught by somebody. I need to see these two on the scale. I need to see how big Javier Reyes against Douglas Silva. You guys know the rule. We don't bet on 40-year-old fighters or higher unless you've got a damn good reason to do so, because Father Time is undefeated. Once you hit 38, 39, 40, even with modern day supplements, you're just not that guy anymore. You're not the same as you used to be in that cage. It's a young man's game. So I've got to pick Javier Reyes here in this spot. But I'm not ready to disrespect Douglas Silva de Andrade yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. I went into this one not really knowing what to think. I did tape this one as well. And like, I'm not super high on Javier. I never really was. I knew him from the LFA. On the Contender Series, I even tried to fade him with Justice Torres, and we all know how that went and didn't go great. I have a real problem with his defense. I think his defense is really, really poor, and his chin is just up there to be hit. And he's relatively durable, but he's been cracked before. I mean, Larry Douglas, I get it. That dude hits really hard, so it's okay. But you know who else hits really hard? Douglas Silva de Andrade, 20 knockout wins. Like, this dude hits really hard. It's just he is really old at this point, and he's super inactive. He's not fighting a lot. I think skill for skill, Andrade is just as good as Reyes, if not better, honestly, in most aspects of MMA. I just think that he's not really doing enough these days. Like, he stood there and just looked at Miles Johns, just looked at him. In the third round, he started to pick it up a little bit, but up until that point, he didn't do anything. So if he comes out here and doesn't do anything, like Reyes, that's what he does. He does stuff. He's just always doing something, throwing something. Doesn't always have a lot of substance. Can get a little bit sloppy, but he's pretty solid everywhere. He's an aggressive striker. He's a solid grappler. And I do think he should be able to beat this version of Andrade. I just don't really want to lay minus 200 when I do think that he can get knocked out. I really do. And I think that it wouldn't be the craziest thing ever either if Andrade wanted like a decision where he lost most of the minutes, but won enough moments in 2 rounds to steal those 2 rounds. So I don't hate the under that I was looking at. I think that might be the way to do it. If anything, the under 2.5, I think it's at pick'em right now. I know that Andrade is durable, but like he's 40 years old, and eventually that starts to go. And I think Reyes could break him. And like I said, I think Andrade could get him. So that covers you on either side.
Yeah, this is the Dan Ige spot of the week, right? Does he still got it? Is that chin still intact? Like, he can take shots from anybody and everybody, but at 40, yeah, eventually someone's gonna crack it, man. I hear you. I don't mind the under. I don't know. I don't know if Douglas has got enough heat to knock out Reyes. So I would worry that like this turns into like a one-sided beating where Douglas just kind of shells up. And he's still got those big old thick arms that if he just does this, like I don't know if Reyes will be able to get to the chin. So could be the butthole pucker of the week where you end up losing on the 2.5 and somehow it doesn't quite go the distance. You know what I mean? Like a 3-minute and 55-second KO. Oh my goodness. No, I'm not messing with that. I ain't getting caught with that this week. Next fight up, you guys, we have got a banger. This one might be the best fight of the night, really, this week. Seriously. Cristian Quiñonez takes on Kris Moutinho. Cristian Quiñonez is one of the weirdest fighters I've ever had to deal with in the UFC, man. This guy came to the organization and I just wrote him off completely. I was like, absolute bum. This guy is complete cannon fodder, okay? He is fun if you let him strike. He bangs, you guys. Like, this guy is so much fun on the feet striking, but he can't grapple to save his ass. He must have gone to high school with Kevin Holland. Like, he has no idea how to get up off of his back. He's 1-2 so far in the UFC off, you guessed it, Dana White's Contender Series. Back-to-back submission losses. Now, I will just give him a little bit of credit. We'll give him a little bit of lead. It was Hani Barcelos and Kyung Ho Kang that submitted him, two very good grapplers. So it's not like that's really the worst thing in the world, but it also kind of is. Like, Hani doesn't ever submit anybody, and Kyung Ho Kang is never beating anybody inside the distance. So pretty rough look to get submitted by both of them back to back. The book is out. The script has been written. Everybody knows. You take this guy down, you can tap him out. What's crazy, though, he's literally the only man to knock out Khalid Taha. Now, I know Taha's not in the UFC anymore, but that guy was built like a brick shit house. He's just a little block of cinder. He's solid muscle. Nobody can hurt him ever. That's been his calling card his entire career. And Cristian Quiñonez sniped him with a right hand that dropped him so hard the ref stepped in and waved it off immediately because he's like, no human could ever possibly recover from that shot. Long, straight shots, good in and out movement. He uses his length and his reach really well. His switch head kick is really fast. If Cristian Quiñonez was signed by Karate Combat, he would do very well. Kris Moutinho, 14-7, 33 years old. This is his second stint in the UFC. They brought him back. Everyone got all excited for him. Somehow he carved out like this little niche group of people that wants to root for him and cheer for him. He's fun to talk. You know, he's fun. His attitude is fun on the microphone. He's got, you know, colorful hair dye and all that stuff. He likes to get in there and bang all the time. So he built this little fan base, and everyone was real excited for him when he got his second call up to the UFC. And then he just gets iced by Malcolm Wellmaker. Like they brought him back to die against Malcolm Wellmaker. He's a boxer. He never stops coming forward. He always ends up in a bloody brawl. So he's good TV, but he's a sacrificial lamb here, man. This is the Mayan altar here. They're going to pour this guy's blood all over the people in Mexico. That's what he's here for. He's got a 5-fight win streak. I'm sorry. He went outside the UFC, put together a 5-fight win streak. They brought him back and immediately gets knocked out. He's got 6 KO losses. So as much as you want to say he's tough, as much as you want to say he's quote unquote durable, you know, the fight with Sean O'Malley, I think lulled people into a false sense of durability because he went the full 15 minutes. This guy gets iced by good fighters. I don't think he can handle the firepower of Cristian Quiñonez. I know you mentioned you don't want to parlay Cristian Quiñonez, but honestly, man, why not? Like, I don't understand. What is Moutinho going to do? The UFC picked the one guy who has no grappling chops to take on a guy who he's shorter than, who he's going to have a reach disadvantage against, and a guy who hits like an absolute truck. This is set up for Quiñonez to have a highlight reel knockout at Mexico City. I want to see a KO prop. I'm sure it's chalk, which is just disgusting. But, I mean, even at -600, -700, it's a stupid number, but Quiñonez is winning this fight.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to try to talk you off of it if you're confident, especially because I haven't taped it yet. But all I'll say is like -700 isn't going to do a ton for your parlays. And like the last time he lost against Barcelos, that was in Mexico City as well, and he did gas there too. I know that. Sorry, I know that was I know that was Barcelos, and Barcelos is like here, and Moutinho's down here in terms of skill level. I get it.
And like a Brazilian state grappling monster.
Yeah. Like couldn't be better. Like, he's way better than Moutinho. I get it. But in theory, he's already gassed in Mexico City before. He's minus 700, and he is fighting a guy who, if you don't put away, he will keep moving forward and he will keep trying. So, like, I don't know. I couldn't do it at minus 700, but I can also understand what you're saying because Moutinho is a punching bag. Quiñonez is a solid fighter. He was doing pretty well against Raoni until the finish happened, and he really should win. 700 is kind of gross.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you that 700 is kind of gross. But at the same time, dude, this is Jeff Neal 2.0 for me. Where does Moutinho win this week? Like, I've got such a hard time. I can't see him taking 2 rounds of battering from Quiñonez. Like, if he does, then he probably knocks Quiñonez out in the 3rd, right? Like, he'll come back, he'll win, he'll keep pushing. I just don't see him surviving that long. I've got a real hard time envisioning him coming back and winning this fight.
Yeah, I guess you can, if anything, like, let's say you do parlay Quiñonez, maybe you don't like what you're seeing, then you can hedge off live with Moutinho because he's probably going to lose the first round, probably the first 2 at least.
Yeah. I mean, you never know though, man. Live betting can be tricky because it's the worst thing in the world when you've got like a plus 400 underdog and they hit a takedown and all of a sudden it's a pick'em. You're like, the son of a bitch. Like, you can't even get in at like a plus 210 or something like that. The bookies just crash the line because they know immediately this is not going to go the way we all expected. You got to be careful live betting sometimes, for freaking sure. And this is low level as shit. So I definitely caution people on this kind of a card, but at the same time, dude, I can't get it out of my head. Do you remember the Sphere card like a year and a half ago? Mexico got swept. Like, it was the most embarrassing Mexico card of all time. The only guy who won was Smiley, who beat Ode Osborne, if you remember. What's his name? I'm blanking on his name. He's got the massive smile. That's like his whole thing is this big old cheese that he throws on everything. Anyway, he got knocked out in round 1. The ref let the fight continue. He was like dead to the world in round 1, but the ref didn't stop the fight. So he clawed his way back into it, out-grapples Ode Osborne, as everyone tends to do. Rolando Rodriguez, yes, thank you. I know the chat would not give up on me here. He was done. Like, they could have legitimately gotten reverse swept on their own card. I really feel like this card is being stacked so they look good. I think we're going to see a lot of the Mexican fighters win this week because it's match made for them to do so. And this feels like another sacrificial lamb to me. So I want to see what that KO prop looks like. With a minus 700 favorite, I'm sure it'll be like minus 200 or something disgusting, but that's how I see this fight playing out.
Huh. Plus 125 on Bet Online.
Really?
Yeah.
Bro, that's an insane value swing.
Kind of weird considering the under 1.5 is it's set at 1.5, not 2. It's plus 135 to under 1.5. What do they think is going to happen? Quiñonez sub, but sub is plus 3. Yeah, that's weird.
When is Quiñonez subbing anybody though?
I mean, he's actually a solid grappler, but yeah, that's really weird.
Moy's in the chat saying Moutinho is in fact a BJJ grappler first and then picked up striking. Interesting. Now, I will say that was my Jean-Paul read this past week, though, is guys that start BJJ and then pick up striking, they're shit wrestlers. Like, they still just never figure out how to take people down consistently. So if he gets it to the mat, then he's probably good to go from there. But how does he get it to the mat? Like, I don't know if Moutinho's got the wrestling chops to be able to take this guy down. You guys are making me kind of walk this back, though. Like, as we're talking it through, the more I think about it, these shit Mexican fighters off Dana White's Contender Series that have losing UFC records and then taking on guys like, established fighters that have grappling bases. Moutinho is working with like Mitch Raposo, who's a guy who has really been showing up recently and doing really well, who's also a decent grappler. Like, you guys are making me want to bet Kris Moutinho, and I don't like it.
Or we could just pass, Clint. We could pass too. It's allowed.
It's true. It is allowed. We could pass. And I will tell you guys,
I forget that very often.
I do too. I never realize I'm allowed to just not put money on things. I don't have any bets locked in this week so far, you guys, because it does feel like Landmine City. This is one of the fights that we're talking about. I kind of like made 3 different parlays where I was like playing around with the numbers to see what it would come out as with who was tight in the parlay. And it's just gross, man. Having 3 legs or 4 legs to get to a plus 120 or something like that, or a minus 139 or something like that for 3 legs. It just sucks. I hate gambling that way. I have a hard time because I always find the landmine. I will always step on the one underdog who ends up blowing up the parlays. He'll be in mine. So I'm treading very lightly. I got to pick my spots this week. But yeah, you guys are making me think twice about Moutinho all of a sudden, which is very uncomfortable. All right, let's move it along. Macy Chiasson takes on Ailín Pérez. And I was wondering, Mike, I wanted to know what happened with Ailín Pérez. She came to the UFC, shot out of a freaking cannon. She's twerking all over everybody. She's stealing the headlines. And it seemed like the UFC really made something of her, even though I've been talking shit on her every step of the way. She just keeps winning. And all of a sudden, she disappeared for a long time. And honestly, probably good, right? These fighters can't keep going at breakneck speed. They end up taking too much damage. The weight cuts too much. They're not developing. So it's a good thing. But I was really surprised that we hadn't seen her in quite some time. It's been it's been over a year now since her win over Carol Hossa back in January of 2025. And now she's getting Macy Chiasson, which is, in theory, a step up in competition. Man, I'll be honest with you. I've been so wrong on Ailín Pérez. She's on a 5-fight win streak right now, and she's looked really good the whole way. Now, she's fought a couple of bums along the line, right? But she's got some good wins as well. Well, Carol Hossa is very good. Jocelyn Edwards, that win has aged very well. I thought she was going to lose the Edwards fight. I bet against her that night. I bet against her with Carol Hossa as well. I actually think I bet Lucy Pudilova against her. I cashed with Stephanie Egger when she made her UFC debut. I had the perfect read on that fight. And the thing is, on the regionals, Ailín Pérez has one of the most padded records you'll ever see. She got some massive cupcakes on her way to the UFC. And I told everybody, man, when we were breaking down, I'll never forget, when we were breaking down the Egger fight, I said she has never faced 1 second of adversity. She's been the bully. She's fought layups. She's fought cans. She's not been put in one single bad position in her entire career. And she makes it to the UFC. Bless you. And so I was like, I'm going to absolutely smash because this chick is a complete fraud. And sure enough, Egger snaps her arm off. And I was like, look at that. The first time she's not in the driver's seat, it's over. I thought I was just going to fade her Louis Groulet style, where she was going to go 0-3, 0-4 and get the can from the UFC. She turned it around immediately, and she's done nothing but get better. And the whole time I keep waiting for the floor to drop out. I give up. Ailín Pérez, you beat me, right? She's twerking on me right now. I can't win against this girl. So instead, I'm going to start backing her instead of trying to fade her, man, because she's strong. She's physical. Her game is decently well-rounded. She keeps a good pace. It looks like she's still capable of bullying girls in the cage where, so like, even if the pace slows down, they're more tired than she is. So she's still winning those exchanges. She knows how to wrestle when she needs to. Like, she finds a way to win. And you want fighters who find a way to win rather than finding ways to lose, like Phil Rowe. So I'm on Team Perez, you guys. Macy Barber made a believer out of me. Ailín Pérez has made a believer out of me too. We got a new baby here on the show. Macy Chiasson, 10-5, 34 years old. Previously, somebody who I thought was really on a rocket ship, man. She's another one who's fighting at 500, right? 2-2 in her last 4. 3-3 in her last 6. You zoom further out and it's 4-4 in her last 8. She is 500 since 2019. She just alternates wins and losses. She'll put 2 and 2 together, right? But she gets 2 wins, she gets 2 losses immediately after. I thought she was on a rocket ship, man. When she took out Mayra Bueno Silva after beating Piani Kinzad, when she almost had Irene Aldana done in that fight, like, I really thought she was like hitting her stride. She was hitting her groove. She was going to make it to the title. Like, Macy Chiasson 2.0 was a real thing. And then she just kind of gets handled by Ketlin Vieira and Yana Santos. And, man, it looks almost like she's lost the fire. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't look like she's focused. She doesn't look like she's all the way in. Not to knock people trying to set themselves up outside the cage, obviously, because that's what these fighters have to do. Make your money while you can, and then get yourself ready for your life after the fight is over, because they don't have long. But she's like starting a podcast and she's trying to get into all that. That it's like, I really feel like she's got kind of one foot out the door. And then in these fights where she should be able to out scramble her opponents or win these grappling exchanges, she's just not. So I don't know if she's physically not as strong as I thought she was, or if maybe she's not training as hard as she used to, or like, I really don't know what the disconnect is, but she's been very disappointing to me as a guy who's backed her in her last several fights, even down to the fact that she missed weight in her last fight. And I know she's a big girl, but man, she nailed this cut. She used to be able to make 135 no problem, and now all of a sudden she's missing weight at 135 again. It just red flags everywhere with Macy Chiasson for me. So I've lost a decent amount of money betting on her recently. She did pretty well for me before, so I'm probably, ballpark around even with Macy Chiasson lifetime. But it's a bad trend right now. Ailín with Ailín Perez here. She's a minus 180 favorite. The over 2.5 is like minus 350. That's pretty well locked in this fight because both these women are tough. Both of them know how to grapple. Neither of them are highlight reel finishers. I think it's Ailín Perez, and I think it's probably Ailín Perez by decision. That was a real long way for me to say the favorite's going to win, and it's a WMMA fight, so it's going to be a decision, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree for the most part. I haven't fully taped this fight. I did start, though. I looked into it a little bit, tried to get as much in it before the show as I could, but I've also never been a believer of Perez. I've tried to fade her. I'm pretty sure I bet Daria Zelezniakova against her. I think I even had 2 units on her. Why I did that, I don't know. I really don't.
Daira sucks. I don't know why you did that either.
Yeah, I think I convinced.
I'm the king of bad underdogs, man, but I couldn't tell you on that one.
Yeah, I think I convinced myself that she could keep it on the feet, and that's where I went wrong because she absolutely could not keep it on the feet. But yeah, as SC is saying over here,
like that night too. I'm giving you shit. I actually think I bet Daira that night, thinking she'd stop takedowns.
I was thinking, I thought you did too.
I did. I totally did.
But I wasn't going to call you out.
I've been fading Ailín Perez nonstop, man. I absolutely was in the boat with you that night. I bet her also.
But yeah, I do think she should be able to get it done here just by doing more. And I do think that she's looked a lot improved. I thought she looked great in the Rosa fight. I believe I also had some kind of bet on Rosa, whether it was like a parlay piece or something. And Perez showed up. She looked good in that fight. Her wrestling continues to look good. Striking's getting a little bit better. Would be great if she stopped spinning because her spins are not very good, but I do think she should beat Macy. She seems to maybe even hit a little bit harder. Macy's very hittable. Macy's output isn't great. I think Macy's cardio also isn't as good. Ailín Perez isn't like a cardio machine, but she's been pushing through it, and I do tend to think she might handle the elevation better than Macy here, especially because she did come out earlier. I was talking about Montenegro earlier on the pod, and they're training together there. Julieta Martinez there too. So they've been there for a little bit, I think at least 2 weeks, whereas Macy just getting there. So I think that's also going to help her out. And yeah, pre-tape, I do think Perez is the side. Whether I can bet her at this number, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, man, massive red flag for someone in Macy who's missing weight and gassing out in fights to go out to Mexico City later than you should. That's rough. Like that's a poor decision. You know what I mean? I know you can simulate the elevation and stuff like that. And I know she can push hard or whatever, but like that's a bad idea, man. I think I'm just done with Macy at this point, dude. She's been around for a long time and she's never quite developed into what we thought she was going to be. And these last couple fights, especially the fall off, has shown that, I just don't think she's going to be all the way in on this. She'll probably fight for another 3 years. You know what I mean? But it's going to become the side hustle. She's not looking for gold anymore. I don't think so. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm with you. Perez. Let's go Ailín Perez. Next up, you guys, Jose Medina takes on Ryan Gandra. Jose Medina, the walking human punching bag, is somehow still in the UFC, man. I do not understand how or why. Like, this guy was super fun in his first fight on Dana White's Contender Series. He took so much damage in that loss that Dana White signed him because he was like, oh, that was fun. Like, he just never quit. I like the heart. Like, that's great. He had no offensive skills. I took a shot on him against Zach Reese. And that's because Zach Reese gassed out punching this man for 15 minutes. Like, That's my opinion of Zach Reyes. He's so bad. I thought if Jose Medina could take 12 minutes worth of damage and then throw a couple punches in round 3, he probably knocks out Zach Reyes. The problem is he just never threw anything. So he was just on the defense walking backwards for 15 straight minutes. This man's been beaten up by everybody the UFC's put in front of him so badly to the point that finally he crumpled. Atiba Gauthier got him out of there. That dude's a monster. He's an absolute freak. And then they went, okay, you know what? That was pretty rough, right? We gave you Zach Reyes, first fight at 185. It is what it is. You survived. We threw you to the wolves with Atiba Gauthier. Let's give you a fight. You should be able to show us what you're made of, right? Let's give you broken old Dusko Todorovic. You should be able to do something here. Now, he got taken out immediately. He got taken down. He got smoked. He got submitted. He proved that his skill set on the ground is just as limited as his skill set on the feet. This guy's got nothing, Mike. Like, there's not a single redeeming quality about this guy, except for the fact that you can hit him in the head with a brick and he'll stand there. So Ryan Gandra is his opponent, who's 8-1, 30 years old, and you guys guessed it, making his debut off of Dana White's Contender Series. I had to go back and check into this guy a decent bit. I didn't remember him at all. Apparently, he's a Brazilian judo national champion. He started his MMA career all the way up at heavyweight. He dropped down to 205. He's now dropped down to 185. This man has taken the Jared Cannonier career path here in the UFC. He starts very fast. He's got quick hands. He does get wild. He drops his hands and he starts throwing hooks from his hips. And I mean hooks and combos too, like disrespectfully leaving his head wide open. Loopy blitz attacks. I am not sold that this guy is going to be the next Jared Cannonier. I think he's way too wild and way too crazy for that. Somebody's going to make him pay for this insane output that he has. It's not Jose Medina. The UFC is trying to get Jose Medina knocked out again here. I don't know if it's going to happen just because the guy is durable as shit, but this is Ryan all day. Like, it's never Jose Medina anymore, you guys. I tried once, but that's because Zach Reyes is a bum. It's never otherwise Jose Medina.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of embarrassing for the UFC that Medina was A, ever signed, and B, that he's still here.
Correct.
And I think that at the end of the day, it was never even about Dana finding him entertaining. Dana said, okay, here's a guy who I think I can feed to a lot of prospects and is going to be cheap and won't win, so I won't have to renegotiate. So let me bring him in. And he said, like, yeah, he's tough. Look at him. And all he did in that fight was emote. That's all he ever does, is he just stands there, you punch him in the face, and he goes, come on, yeah. Like, that's literally all he does. But I will say, I liked a little bit of what I saw against Dusko. Now, Dusko's a punching bag. It's not hard to get your combos going off against him. But he stopped emoting. He stopped doing all kinds of weird things with his hands, and he just started punching, and it actually looked kind of good. The combinations were pretty good. He's going to the body, putting it all together. And then he gets taken down, and he's an absolute zero on the ground, and he loses. So I think that Gandra, he's weird because it's like you look at him, and like he looks the part. Certainly looks the part more so than Medina. He's jacked. He's a big dude. He's scary. He hits very hard, but he's very, very sloppy. It's like all big hooks. Every action he takes is like 100% of his energy he's putting into it, and he's putting himself out of position. Now, early on, that's not going to matter at all. Medina's not a counter striker, nothing like that. It doesn't matter if he puts himself out of position, Gandra, but he gets tired. He gets really tired at the best of times, and the two fights where he's been extended, like, he was exhausted. He was fighting this dude, I don't remember his name, the last fight that went to a decision. And in the third round, Gandra is just flat-footed, hands down, huffing and puffing and just getting punched in the face. And it's like, damn, that wasn't even at elevation, you know? So now you're putting him in Mexico City at serious elevation. And what if he doesn't put out Medina? I lean towards him taking Medina out in the first round, but what if he doesn't, you know? And even against Ateba, like, Medina went down, but he didn't go out. Like, his chin is pretty ridiculous. So I just feel like this fight in particular, because of the elevation, might end up looking hysterical, and it might be the only way that Medina can get a UFC win, because I don't think he's good. I don't think he's anywhere near UFC caliber, but I think Gandra's cardio is bad enough, and his build and the way he fights is not built for elevation. I think that it could really end up poorly for him. So this is just another spot where I'm going to happily stay away. I'm going to assume that Gandra is going to get him out of there. And then if he doesn't, I'm going to look at the live price and maybe do something. I would really rather not. I don't want to put money on Medina. I work too hard. but I do think he has a path late, possibly. And, he is taking it seriously if you look at it. He was at Killcliff, then he went to another camp in Florida. I forget the name. And then he went over to Mexico City. He's been there also, I believe, around 2 weeks now, whereas Gandra just got there today. So he's taking it seriously. He's trying. And again, could be a good matchup technically, given the circumstances of the elevation. But I am going to pick Gandra to win. Round 1, knockout.
Yeah, man, this is one of those ones where it's all going to be right there. Medina could just throw 2 or 3 well-placed punches deep in round 2, and this guy has nothing left to give, and he just won't. Like, it'll end up being a clinch fest. All this guy's going to have to do is lean on him against the cage, and he'll grind his way to a decision if he doesn't get that knockout win. In fact, an over may be the best way to play this thing, because if he doesn't end up getting that KO, it could end up going deep, and Gandra by decision could be the move here, just banking on him to get too tired to knock out Jose Medina. We'll have to take a look at that. They know what's up though. The 1.5 is a pick 'em. So
yeah, so over 1.5 is plus 100 or pick 'em. But like you said, because like if this fight ends, it's going to end in the first 7.5, probably, right? Most of the time.
Yeah. Hard to see a late finish.
Right. So fight goes is plus 300. Gandra decision's plus 375. So you're not really getting anything from it. You just play the fight goes at that point, and it's actually not a bad look. I'm going to think about it too.
Yeah, that one's one to consider. Maybe a little degen, but that one definitely is one to think about. All right, guys, real quick, shout out Spectation Sports, you guys. LFA prelims can now be viewed on Spectation Sports. You guys are not going to want to miss out. We are growing. Jump on board while you can. Promo code DieHard will get you 20% off your subscription when you sign up. Synergy FC on Saturday. If you need more MMA action, please check out Spectation Sports. Absolute banger doubleheader this past weekend. My guy Andrew Valdina making it 8-0 undefeated. You watch for that name when he makes it to Dana White's Contender Series. That kid is freaking good. I can't wait to see what he can do. He's going to make it to the UFC level. Whether you are studying tape for guys that are going to be in Dana White's Contender Series, or whether you're just a junkie who needs more MMA in your life, you need to be checking out Spectation Sports. And again, promo code DieHard, link in the description below. I'll get you 20% knocked off when you sign up. We're talking about UFC Mexico City. I am joined by the Couch Warrior, my guy Mike, here on the show. You guys, please make sure, give us a like, share the show out here if you're on social media, get subscribed, and let's keep it rolling. Next up, we've got Santiago Luna taking on Angel Pacheco in another banger fight of the evening. Man, it's been a while since I've heard the name Angel Pacheco. He's been gone for quite some time. Another 2-year-long layoff, 34 years old. He lost on Dana White's Contender Series. He dropped his UFC debut to Cal Loughran. That is not a good look. Loughran's since been cut by the UFC. And frankly, man, it was a bad look. I watched that fight back, and Angel was coming forward. He was aggressive. He was the longer fighter, so that reach advantage you think would have made a big difference. Every time he got into boxing range, Loughran was just countering him, and it was a massive power difference. He was wide open to get hit, even though he was throwing combos and stuff like that. His head was ping pong, and every time Loughran threw back, he couldn't miss. It was crazy to watch, and he ended up just getting backed up basically the whole night. He does have a nice jab. I will give him that. He does have nice leg kicks. I will give him that. He does stay active, so it's good volume, it's good pace, it's a good jab. Like, all this stuff sounds like it's good, but he ends up just, not doing all that great in there for some reason. He is another guy from the New England cartel. He is training with Mitch Raposo. He is a BJJ black belt, but at 34 years old, you're kind of exiting that prime, coming off a 2-year-long layoff. I'm not really sure what I should be expecting from you. I like a 2-year-long layoff at 26. You know what I mean? If you come back and, you look real good and you can make some serious improvements in your off time, you can, grow into your man body. Like at 34, you're developing back pain at that point. Santiago Luna, 7-0, 21 years old, 1-0 so far in the UFC. This guy fought Quang Lee in his UFC debut. Mike, I don't know if you remember that fight. He got dropped by the first punch. It was like immediate. It was like, oh, that's embarrassing. Like, here's another kid that's just going to get diced in the UFC. But he showed massive heart, and he got back up, and he kept coming forward. And about 30 seconds in, all of a sudden, he starts taking over. It's not Quang Lee landing anymore. it's Luna landing. He can grind on people if he needs to. He's got relentless pressure with his forward motion, grinds people up against the fence. He does that cheese grater along the cage, takes people down to the mat. I mean, he's shoving people. He transitions really smoothly. He got battered at the beginning of that fight, and he ends up TKOing Lee just like a minute or two later on, man. It was a real fun fight to watch. Luna is tough, and he's young. I like this kid. I'm expecting good things from this kid, and I do think this is a fight he should be able to roll through on. It's another disgusting price tag, you guys, minus 500 against Angel Pacheco. But I expect that Luna can do everything that Angel can, and he's just tougher, and he's faster, and more durable. I mean, all the X factors, right? He's younger, but I think he beats Angel Pacheco here. It's another one where I'm like, do I or don't I put Luna in the 4-leg parlay? Because at minus 500, but I think he wins.
Yeah, I think he wins too. And compared to the other minus 500, 600, 700s that we've been talking about, I guess I'm a little bit more comfortable with Luna because I think this kid's got a really high ceiling. I'm actually very high on him. I was high on him going into his last fight. I didn't pull the trigger on it. I was just nervous about the price because Quang's not bad either. But Luna's good, man. Luna's a slick striker. He's athletic. He's a very good wrestler. He's still a little bit of a work in progress. I'm not sold on his cardio. That's a little bit of a concern, but you know, he fights through it even when he is getting a little bit tired. He's never been to a decision, but he does have round 3 finishes, and I do think his cardio will hold up. I just worry a little bit at this number, but the striking's really nice, and it's improving a lot. He comes from a wrestling base, just solidly well-rounded, training at Entrim like that. And Pacheco, like he's a nice guy. I had him on my show for an interview once. I had him on the channel. He's a really nice dude. He cares a lot. He works hard. New England Cartel, good gym. But I just think that he's not necessarily UFC caliber. And, you know, he's tough. He throws a lot of output. I like that. Gave us a really good fight with Danny Silva and got that contract despite kind of getting beat up a little bit, you know. He's an exciting fighter, and he puts on solid fights, but I just don't know what he has for Luna, and his takedown defense also is quite poor, and I think that if Luna wanted to grapple him the whole time, he probably could. So I do think Luna gets it done. What method, that I'm not sure. I lean towards maybe like a decision, but I'm not super confident about that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely with you on Luna. I honestly, man, when you get an older fighter after a long layoff like that, also at elevation, taking on an Intram guy, maybe 2-3, round 2-3, you know, something like that.
Do you know why he's been gone?
I don't. I wasn't able to figure that out. I'm not sure why he was off for the full 2 years. Right. No idea. Couldn't figure that one out.
Over 1.5 is plus 100.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I could see it. Luna has gone a little bit deeper in his fights before. You know, like I mentioned, that cheese grater fight pressure. Like he is not necessarily around one finisher all the time. I expect him to get more dangerous as time goes on, but I could see him getting into rounds 2 and 3 in this kind of a fight. Again, it depends on Angel. Maybe we need to look for some interviews or something like that, because if he's dealing with an injury and he's getting old, like, yeah, this could be an under 1.5 for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Keeping it moving, you guys. Imanol Rodriguez taking on Kevin Borjas. This kid Rodriguez, Mike, looks filthy. Oh my Lord. 6-0, 26 years old, making his UFC debut off Dana White's Contender Series. 100% finish rate. He is insanely aggressive. Everything he throws is combos, really crisp boxing. He switches it up to elbows when he gets into close range on people. He keeps that high, tight guard up. He's hard to hit, really heavy leg kicks, and he is really, really fast, you guys. He's nasty in the clinch, and he's got really good finishing instincts. This guy is a shark. If he smells blood in the water, he goes for broke immediately. And Mike, I believe this is another Daniel Cormier trained fighter. Last week, I know a lot of people took the dog shot, but I was like, look, if Daniel Cormier believes in this kid, I'm not betting against him. You know, that's really all it took for me to be like, no, thank you. I'm not taking the shot on Josiah Harrell, I think was the name he was fighting. Yeah, I was like, I'm all in on Jacoby Smith here, because if Daniel Cormier says this kid can make it and he's built like Yoel Romero, I'm taking it. It's kind of the same thing here, you guys. This kid is 6-0. Daniel Cormier is saying this is the dude, And based on all of the violence we've seen from him so far in his regional fights in Dana White's Contender Series, I like Imanol Rodriguez. Kevin Boras is 10-4. He's 28 years old, 1-3 in his last 4 fights. And that's his 4 fights off of Dana White's Contender Series. His only win was Rolando Rodriguez. Broke my heart that night, man. I was all in on Rolando Rodriguez, especially after he came back and grinded his way back against Ode Osborne. I was like, hell yeah, this is my guy. And then he lost the decision to Kevin Boras, which was really rough scenes. And with that being this guy's only win in the UFC, it's pretty tough. He's coming off of a loss to Sumajiri, which also, to me, in my opinion, kind of a bad look, man. I know Sumajiri is a very good striker. I know he's very long. So if you're not grappling with him, he's pretty good on the feet. But another guy that got like a super long leash in the UFC, right? Like a 3-fight losing skid where they gave him long breaks between fights to develop a split decision with Mitch Raposo. Like, that guy's barely hanging on to his UFC career right now. And that's the guy who's beating Kevin Boras. So it's like, Boras is a guy who's got all the tools. He's got everything you think you want in a fighter. And he's just not that great. You know, he's okay. He's good, right? He whooped my ass, but I don't think he's going to make it at the UFC level. He got outpaced badly by Josh Van, which, again, it's Josh Van. He's the current champion. You can't really hold that against him. But I mean, like, we're talking doubled plus insignificant strikes in that fight. Decent power, 8 wins by knockout. He fights pretty well moving backwards. I'll give him that. He does have a hard right cross that he likes, but I've got a hard time seeing him beat Imanol Rodriguez. However, I do think he's a stiff test for Imanol Rodriguez. And this is where you've got that minus 425. You guys, it is Chalk City, not Mexico City, Chalk City. Imanol Rodriguez is minus 425. That's a tough ask. I kind of like this over 1.5, man. This could be the throwback spot to last week, right? We talked about it. Why is the 1.5 minus 135 here? I know Imanol looks very dangerous, but Kevin Boras has been very tough. He's been very durable. He's been knocked out once in his entire career, and it was an Alessandro mounted KO type of situation in the second round. This fight's getting to round 2. Can we get to 7.5 minutes? We might be able to. This might be an over 1.5 that I take a look at, but it's definitely Imanol Rodriguez for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time here just because I haven't taped it yet. But pre-tape, I do have to think it's Imanol. I tried to fade him on the Contender Series with that Conceição fella he was fighting, and that guy's pretty good. And he just ran through him. And, you know, the performance against Morales on the Ultimate Fighter, that's aging pretty well. Most people felt that he won that fight, and Morales is making quite a run for himself right now. So, yeah, I think he's probably better than Borjas. I stopped myself before I said everywhere because I think Borjas is probably a better striker, but Imanol's a work in progress, and I think he's going to improve a lot, and I do think he's the better grappler. So I am going to go his way pre-tape at least, and I don't expect the pick to change.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like a plan to me as well, man. Cameron saying, in fairness, DC believed in Duran Win fighting like 4 weight classes higher than he should have been. And that is fair. But also, in fairness, a lot of us, including the UFC, thought that Duran Win, his grappling was going to kind of make up for the difference in size and stuff like that. So DC wasn't alone. And I will say, DC was extremely critical of Duran Win, and publicly, that he was not like protecting his boy. Like, he was cheering for him. He thought he was going to make it. And then when he wasn't making it, when he wasn't dropping in weight, DC, I believe, like, commentating one of his fights was like, he's too small, man. Like, DC knew the issues with his own boy. So that's where I trust him, because you can read between the lines with Daniel Cormier sometimes. He's too honest. He's too honest for his own good. So that helps us gamblers out for sure.
Putting together a good team over there at his new camp.
Yes, he is. Very good camp. And if you want to learn from somebody, it's a 2-division UFC champion for sure. All right. Next fight, Edgar Cháirez takes on Felipe Quiñonez. This is a banger, man. This should be a really good fight. Edgar Cháirez is 12-6, 30 years old, 2-1 so far in the UFC. Not sure what to make of him. Losses are to Tyra and Van. Both of his wins are inside the distance by sub. It's like, man, okay, so he's losing to the really good guys. The people that he's beating, he's just kind of dicing up, chewing up, and spitting out, but they're also not the best caliber of fighters either. His one draw was against Daniel Lacerda, you guys, if you remember. His second fight in the UFC, he fought Daniel Lacerda, and the ref stepped in and stopped it way too early, and everybody cried foul, and he wasn't awarded the win. The ref admitted the mistake, so they ran the fight back. And he finished Daniel Lacerda in the second fight even faster. It was like, okay, like, sure, let's show you how this was supposed to go. So he chops up Daniel Lacerda, no problem. He just handled my guy CJ Vergara in his last fight, choked him out very early. I thought he was going to win, but I thought it was going to last a little bit longer because CJ always has been kind of a tough kid. Good cardio, good boxing, hard to finish. I thought that fight was going to go a little bit longer, but Cháirez showed him what's up. He's pretty big. He's pretty physical. He's tough as nails. And he's a sneaky good grappler, man. He's got a very tight squeeze. He's got very heavy hands. I remember he rocked Josh Van in round 2 of their fight. For a second there, I thought he was going to knock out Josh Van. That was the fight that really made me cautious about Josh Van moving forward because I was like, I can't unsee that. Like, this kid is so recklessly aggressive. Somebody's going to chin him at some point. It happened. Charles Johnson ended up being the one to get him, but it was pretty crazy. I thought somebody was going to hit him a lot sooner than that, but I like Edgar Cháirez. Felipe Bunes, 14-8, 36 years old. He trains with the Pitbull Bros. He's from LFA, and this guy is a can crusher. Mike, I've got nothing nice to say. He's a complete can crusher. He beat 3 cans after a 3-fight losing streak. Somehow in there, he got finished by Jussier Formiga, and the UFC signed him anyway. I was like, what are you doing? Like, he doesn't even have like an unblemished record or anything like that. And when you've got a UFC old cut dropout, not somebody who belonged, absolutely, but when you get too old to cut it at the UFC level and you're getting tapped by that dude, not fluky style, like in the second round of the fight, you win a split decision against a 13-9 bum. Why is the UFC signing this guy? I just did not understand. And here we are. He's 1-2, losses to Josh Van and Rafael Estevam, which again, you can't really knock him. Estevam is a never stopping pressure grappler. Josh Van is the champion. There's no shame there. And he did beat Jose Johnson, but he was getting his ass whooped before he beat Jose Johnson. He got him in an armbar. It is what it is. It's the fight game. Shit happens. Guys, I don't believe in Felipe Bunes. I don't think he's UFC caliber. I don't know why he's here at all. And I think the only guys he beats are guys that suck. I don't think he should have beaten Jose Johnson that night either. And Jose Johnson's been cut by the UFC. Like, this is another one where I think they're giving Cháirez a winnable fight because Cháirez has been a UFC guy. He's fun. He's exciting. I think he's going to win, and I think he's going to do it dominantly. I should have jumped on this one, and that's why I was kind of looking at the parlays earlier in the week because these lines are just ballooning. All of us are seeing the chalk this week. These numbers are going to get insane. He's minus 325 now. Cháirez wins this fight, man. I don't see where Felipe Bunes is better than Edgar Cháirez. And I think Cháirez can outbox him. He can hurt him with the hands. I think Cháirez can submit him if he wants to. If it goes the full 15 minutes, I don't see why Cháirez isn't the one winning the decision if he can't find the finish. So I think money line is a good chalk here on Edgar Cháirez.
Yeah, I'm actually writing something down that just came to my head. I was thinking maybe Cháirez 2-3. I got into taping this one. I didn't finish it, but I do think that Bunes is a better grappler. Like, just pure jiu-jitsu, I think he's better there, but his wrestling's not that good to get it there. I think that Cháirez's takedown defense is quite poor. I think it could be a lot better, and Bunes probably can get him down a couple of times. I do think that's a possibility, and maybe early he can even bank around. But I don't really think Bunes is going to submit Cháirez, and I don't think he has the cardio to continue to grapple. I don't think he has the wrestling to do that either. And on the feet, I think Cháirez is a lot better. I think he's a lot more aggressive. I think Bunes is very hittable, and I don't know that he likes to be hit. I mean, nobody does, but you know what I mean? And I just think that Cháirez is going to be able to break him late down the stretch. I think that's on the table, maybe even early, but I'd just be interested in those numbers possibly. I do think he should win.
I don't hate that. I do think he probably finishes at some point. Inside the distance may be a good look, but again, I may just go chalk style, man. I might chalk up and call it a day. Do a 3-legger, and Cháirez will probably be in there.
I think Cháirez is one of the better chalk options, I would say.
Which is interesting because he's cheaper than some of the other ones too. He's not minus 500, minus 600. He's only minus 300, and I do think he's one of the better spots. We'll see how that goes. It is Mexico after all. Next up, you've got Daniel Zellhuber. The Golden Boy returns, and he's taking on Bobby King Green. And we were just talking about chalk. Zellhuber's a minus 500 favorite here in this spot, Mike, and I am having a really hard time wrapping my brain around it because realistically, you're paying for what they think this kid could be, not what he is. Now, he's 26 years old. He's extremely young. He's got a great frame for the weight class. He's very long. He's very tall. He's got great kicks. He's got good boxing. He's at Extreme Couture. He's training with some of the best fighters in the world right now. He's got a great coach. Like, everything is where it should be here for Daniel Zellhuber. But he's lost his last 2 fights in a row. And he lost the decision to Esteban Ribovics, who's been cut by the UFC. I know the UFC is giving him Bobby King Green.
Wait, he got cut?
I'm pretty sure he did. Or was it Prado that got cut?
Oh, I don't know. I just got surprised. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. Let's see here.
Prado,
no?
I could.
Okay, maybe Ribovics is still on the UFC.
I mean, Ribovic, yeah.
I thought he got cut. Maybe it was Prado. Maybe I'm mixing my boys up here a little bit. Sorry about that. But somebody just recently got cut that I liked. Some Argentinian fighter just got cut that I liked. Anyway, King Green, he's old. But, man, his last fight, he showed he still got it. Like, I know it was a split decision over Lance Gibson Jr., but he looked good. I know Lance is not necessarily UFC caliber, but Bobby looked like Bobby again, man. He was coming forward. He had the shoulder roll. He had the swag. He rolls well with punches. His boxing is really good. His get-up game is really good. He can wrestle if he needs to. He crowds the kicker really well. It's a tough run right now for Bobby. Right? 2-3 in his last 5. But the losses, Jalen Turner, who's an absolute monster, should never be able to make 155. Just a round 1 machine. Paddy Pimblett, a guy who's in the contender circle now. One of the best submission guys in the game. Choked him out in the first round. Huge. It is what it is. Roofy, another spectacular round 1 KO or bust striker. So you've got a 40-year-old Green who's slowing down a little bit. Like, these guys are the dudes at this weight class that are coming up right now. His wins over Lance Gibson Jr., Jim Miller, but he did punch out Grant Dawson. He did TKO an older Tony Ferguson. And you've got Zellhuber, who just got crowded by Michael Johnson. Johnson was able to close the distance, crowd the kicker, push his way forward, get into boxing range. And Zellhuber looked lost, man. I got burned by Zellhuber in that Michael Johnson fight. I think, or not that Michael Johnson fight. I think I bet him in the Ribovics fight. I got burned by him in his last couple of fights. And I'm just not seeing what I thought I would see from this kid. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, I think he's got the raw physical abilities that he's going to need. He's got the talent. He's got the camp. He's got the coach. I think Bobby can do exactly what Michael Johnson did to him. Like, maybe they game plan up something else, right? Maybe he pulls out some kind of a spinning kick or something like that they saw Bobby get caught with before. But Zellhuber has not been like a one-hitter quitter type of guy. In the UFC, he's been a decision machine or like a club and sub kind of guy. He's been kind of sneaky with his grappling more so than knocking people out with his hands. I think Bobby can make this a fucking fight, man. Am I insane for not wanting to go back to minus 500 on Daniel Zellhuber, even though it's the Mexico City card? Like, I know they put this fight together specifically for him, but it's like a treading water fight as far as his talent level of opposition goes. And I have yet to see the improvements. So why I don't have any reason to believe he's going to win this fight after losing the last 2 to very similar style fighters.
Yeah, that's my one worry, is that it does seem almost like too obvious, right? Because like he's a very similar fighter, Bobby, to Michael Johnson, high volume boxer and a good one at that. And it seems almost too obvious. Like why is again Zellhuber minus 500 the same line? And it does seem like Bobby Green's very live here. I still have to tape it, but to me, yeah, I think the value is probably on Bobby. Zellhuber hasn't even knocked anybody out. Excuse me. He hasn't even knocked anybody out in the UFC, so he doesn't have a ton of power. And I feel like at this stage of his career with Bobby, you either have to be a really good grappler or just have the power to either keep him away or put him out. Otherwise, he's going to be competitive with pretty much everybody, especially if it's on the feet. And Zellhuber's not really going to grapple. He's not going to wrestle. And if we're just looking at a striking matchup, like I don't see why Bobby should be such a big price. So I have to tape it. and try to understand, but it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, especially because Zellhuber hasn't gotten a win in a year and a half. So even longer, actually, if you go all the way, almost, what's today? Almost 2 years, because he beat Prado on the 24th of February, and it's the 23rd. So it's almost 2 years since he got a win, and now he's still minus 500 over Bobby Green. I do think that Bobby's like diminished a lot, and I do think he's towards the end of his career, but I think he could pull this one off. I'll still pick Zellhuber, younger guy. He does have the tools. He is going to be with the home crowd, but dog or pass from a betting perspective, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely dog or pass. And this one's kind of killing me, man, because I'm like, is it somehow like, these are the spots that always get me. Everything lines up. We're going, okay, the last 3 guys that Daniel Zellhuber has fought look exactly like Bobby Green. Bobby is probably the best 1 or 2 of the last 4 guys that he's fought. So it's a big step up in competition. Bobby's got the exact skill set that gives this kid problems. It's the UFC testing him, going, hey, can you beat this exact style of fighter? I don't know that he can. The worry is that Bobby Green's chin is gone. And if Zellhuber clips him with a big knee or something, he may just crumple. He's not as durable as he used to be. So that's a bit of an issue. And that could be a problem here in this fight. But, you know, it's tough, man. It is tough. And shout out Erik saying worst MMA better on Twitter. Never take this guy's advice on everything. I am the worst better on Twitter, but I can give a hell of a breakdown. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching the show. Yeah, man. So I think I can't do minus 500. I can't do minus 500. Maybe this is Zellhuber's moment. They set him up in Mexico City. He's the star. He's on the main card. They're giving him a name. Maybe this is his moment. I can't lay minus 500 to find out.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right, guys. Co-main event of the evening. Marlon Chito Vera takes on David Martinez. And this should be an absolute banger of a fight, man. It's funny. I had somebody last week asking me, do I think that Marlon Vera can take down David Martinez? And I told them very honestly, yes. Yes, I do. But he's not going to. He can. He just won't. And Marlon Vera has been one of the most frustrating fighters for me for the last couple of years, because when he made it to the UFC, I picked him out as somebody who I was going to make a lot of money on, man. I was cashing tickets on Marlon Vera week in and week out. He was making quick turnarounds. He was finishing people. The way he took out Andre Ewell back in the day, the Davey Grant fight. I mean, like, I was piling up tickets on Marlon Vera. He was my freaking boy. And then he fell in love with his hands entirely. Right? Like, he used to go to his grappling, and that was his big secret weapon, and people would fall into it, and he would hunt for submissions, and he would just finish people. He's so tough. He's so durable. He cranks up the aggression and the volume as the fight goes deeper, but he always starts slow. He always gives away round 1, and that just stops working at the high level, right? Guys like Davison Figueiredo, guys like Sean O'Malley, guys like Corey Sandhagen, they're not going to fall into your shitty traps deep into the fight. So he struggled to get to the guys he needed to get to down the stretch. And you give away that first round, you're way too behind the 8 ball. Now, an old legend like Dom Cruz, you know, he caught him in round 4, but he was losing that fight up until that point too. So those are the guys you'll come back and you'll beat. You know, you'll hurt a guy like Rob Font enough times that you'll win, even if he keeps up with volume. But he's just limited because of his game plan at this point. And frankly, Mike, I think Sean O'Malley took a piece of Chito's soul. That second fight, where he got just beaten to a pulp for 25 minutes. Chito's one of the most durable guys we've ever seen. You put him in that Dan Ige category, right, of just never being knocked out. Eventually, it's going to happen. But since the Sean O'Malley fight, he has not looked like the same guy. He came back against Davison Figueiredo. I bet him that night because I know Davison can't hang at this weight class. He's too old and he's too small. I thought Chito was going to have his comeback moment there, and he just looked like a shell of himself. And then I know Aiemann Zahabi is looking really well. Shout out my boy Liam Picks Fights. He's been all over the Aiemann Zahabi train since this run he's been on. But I did not feel like he was going to be able to beat a guy like Marlon Chito Vera, especially if he was locked in and focused. He took some extra time off. He apologized after the Davison fight and said, guys, you know what? I made a mistake. I came back too early. I wasn't ready yet. So I'm like, okay, we're getting locked in Chito now, man. He's absolutely going to come in here and just bulldoze this guy. Nope. He struggled. He couldn't find the trigger. He was slow. I think Marlon Vera might be shot, Mike. And I hate to say that because I'm such a big fan of the guy. And don't get me wrong, he's still dangerous. He can still submit you if you go to the ground with him. But because he's never hunting the grappling, you never have to go to the ground with him. It's like this incredible high level nuclear missile of a weapon. You just don't even have to worry about it because if you don't take him down, you do not have to worry about his grappling. So if you're going to strike with the guy, that's all you need to worry about is avoiding the big shot deep in the fight. David Martinez is on a rocket ship right now. 13-1, 27 years old. He's 2-0 so far in the UFC. Smoked Simon Oliveira off Dana White's Contender Series. Fills in short notice against Rob Font and beats him to a pulp. This guy's boxing is so good. He's got that karate style. He's extremely bouncy and light on his feet. He makes you chase him around the cage, and he sets you up big time. Like once he gets you sitting still, he explodes with that karate style blitz attack, Lyoto Machida style when he comes in. He's got heavy hands. He's extremely quick. I don't know how Cheeto is going to stop this guy. Now, I will say the leg kicks are the move. If Cheeto comes out and beats this guy's legs to hell and slows him down, that's the answer. But Cheeto hasn't committed to the leg kicks the way he used to in a long time. I don't know if he's going to do that. And I don't know if he can keep up with the speed of David Martinez. Cheeto Vera is so slow and plodding and methodical. I don't know he's going to be able to find David Martinez in the cage. So I don't know that this is the Dan Ige moment of the week where Cheeto gets knocked out for the first time. But I'll be honest with you, Mike, I wouldn't be surprised. It makes me sad to say, but I definitely think this is David Martinez time. And as much of a fan as I am of Cheeto Vera, I've lost money recently on him and given back all the money I made on him early in his career. I think he's done. David Martinez for me.
Yeah, the fight doesn't go is a pretty big number. I mean, we're talking plus 275 where, you know, on one hand you have Cheeto Vera, who I know I do agree, I think he's washed, but he's one of the most dangerous guys in the division. And on the other hand, you have a guy in Martinez who's looking really good, and Vera could be, you know, done, and the durability might start to go, might be going already. And we're looking at plus 275 for it not to go the distance. So that's something that's looking at me for sure. David Martinez is a guy that I've been high on for quite a bit since his Contender Series fight. Going into that fight, I was high on him. I've been saying, you know, I think this guy's a prospect. And then the Rob Font fight, I ended up betting Rob Font because I think he was like minus 120. I was like, you know, I think highly of Martinez, but this is a big step up. And he's also a kicker, and Rob Font, a good boxer. He can back him up, maybe land his combinations, take away the kicking space. And Martinez passed that test with flying colors. It was a good fight. It wasn't an easy fight, but he put on a good performance. And Marlon Vera is just annoying because it's like he comes out there, loses the fight because of himself, and then gets mad at everybody else except himself. Gets mad at the judges, gets mad at his opponents, but he's not mad at himself for not doing enough. It's like, and every time he's surprised that he does the same thing in the fight and the outcome is not different. Like he just starts too slow. And then going into the last fight, he's like, yeah, I know I start too slow, so now I'm sprinting. It's like, dude, I don't know if that's the fix. I don't think sprinting is going to change it. But in theory, I do think he can be a hard fight for Martinez. If he backs up Martinez, I think what you said is a sharp point, the leg kicks. If he uses those leg kicks early, takes away the movement, backs him up, takes away the kicking space, I think this is a winnable fight for Vera in theory. It's just you need him to execute, and he pretty much never executes. Whereas on the other hand, you have David Martinez, who knows his game plans. He's very smart. He's got great fight IQ, really, really good defense. He's very defensively sound, and I just think he's going to do the right things, and I think he is going to beat Cheeto. It's just, I don't know that I can lay this number on him, like in a parlay or something, but if anything, I would look at the fight doesn't go. I like that number, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's a bit of a hot take considering both these guys have mostly been decision people. But yeah, man, you've got plenty of firepower on both sides of this cage. I just worry about the durability. That's my thing, is that both guys are so durable. Even though there's plenty of firepower, neither of them might go down. That's kind of my my only concern. But I love the balls. I like the hot take. And hey, you called a fight going to decision that never should have got there last week. Maybe you're calling the fight that is going to finish this week that most people are thinking won't.
I haven't played it yet. I'm thinking out loud. Not
a bad look though. I like it. I like it. All right, guys, main event of the evening. We've got Brandon Moreno taking on Lonair Kavanagh. Mike, I got caught speeding. Our guy, James, you guys know Lucrative Picks. He's a big fan of Loner Kavanagh, and I said he got fraud checked. When James was on the show the last time, he was like, whoa, now. It was pretty funny. 26 years old. He got knocked out by Charles Johnson. So 2-0 to start his UFC run. Looks like $1 million. And he gets caught by Charles Johnson, which is crazy because Charles Johnson now has knocked out Loner Kavanagh and the current champion of the weight class, right? He absolutely starched Josh Van in the third round of their fight. So Charles Johnson will show up and derail a train every once in a while that you're not expecting. How does Loner Kavanagh bounce back from that? It's a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, not like a crazy turnaround, but he's jumping in there as quickly as he possibly can. He was supposed to face Bruno Silva. He's taking on Brandon Moreno on short notice, jumping in here at elevation in enemy territory. If nothing else, you got to give the kid props for his balls because that is a big task to go from getting knocked out in your last fight to a mid-tier guy in the West to jumping up and trying to take on a former champion in his backyard. I like Loner Kavanagh. I like how fast he is. He's very defensively solid. That's kind of been his thing, is he's very difficult to hit cleanly. Charles Johnson was able to manage that. You saw what happened. So I have questions. You know, it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, so he hasn't been touched a whole lot. And then when he did get touched at the UFC level, it wasn't good. He got knocked out. Like, now he's a young kid. He's 26 years old. So I don't know if I should call it a fraud check, right? He's obviously going to rebuild from here. He's going to be around for a while. He was a 5-time K1 champion before he made it to the UFC. His low kicks are nasty, but man, he sprints at people. And I think you can get caught doing that, right? We'll see the adjustments that he makes. Brandon Moreno, 23-9-2, 32 years old, former champion for this weight class. He is hitting that end of year or end of career rough patch, right? He's 2-2 in his last 4, 3-3 in his last 6. I do think the Davis and Figueiredo trilogy took something from him, man. The most profitable thing that ever happened in the UFC was the Moreno Figueiredo trilogy for me. I made piles. Every time they fought, I had those fights dialed in. I wish they could bring that trilogy back for me because I could use the bankroll boost. I've had a hard time with my boy Moreno since because he took a long layoff after the Pantoja and Royval fights, right? Like, he felt like he left something in the cage against Figueiredo. The UFC put him in there against Pantoja. The guy, his kryptonite. Moreno just can't quite seem to beat him. He loses a split. It was a very close fight. It was a very competitive fight. You could have argued it for Moreno, honestly, and like legitimately. It wasn't the robbery in any sense of the word. Very competitive fight. And then same thing with Brandon Royval. Just another very, very close fight. He bounces back against Amir Albazi and Steve Erceg, but there were moments, man, in both those fights, even in his wins, where it looked like he just wasn't quite pulling the trigger the way he used to, where it looked like he was just a tad bit slower. And his boxing has always been incredible, but it seems like he's lost a little bit of the pop that came along with some of those hands. So I worry just a little bit that Brandon Moreno is moonlighting at this point. The worst part is the Tatsuro Taira fight for me, because nobody, and I mean nobody, even Pantoja, nobody out hustles Brandon Moreno on the mat. So I was confident that Tatsuro Taira was not going to dominate Brandon Moreno on the mat. I was like, I think this kid is going to surprise me by winning this fight somehow on the feet or something, because I couldn't figure out how he wins it on the mat. Mike, it might have been an early stoppage. It really, like, they called that one pretty quick, but Moreno was stuck on the ground and eating giant shots. And that's something that's never happened before. That's the kind of thing where I'm like, oh God, he's regressing. Like, if you're getting caught and stuff like that, the kid's level is rising to the level of the champion. That happens, right? Taira's a monster. He's a great prospect. He's going to challenge for the title very soon, but nobody has been able to do that to Brandon Moreno. And that's concerning. It's a red flag that I'm like, oh man, if Moreno's a little slower on the feet, if his shots don't quite have the pop they used to, and now he's losing scrambling on the mat where it was really the feather in his cap, the one thing you could never take from him. I'm worried for my guy, man. I really am. Now, I don't know if Loner Kavanagh is going to be able to turn around from getting knocked out to knocking a former champion off the mountain, but it's possible because this kid is fast, man. And that's the biggest thing. Speed kills. If you've got a speed advantage in MMA, you can do things to people. Loner Kavanagh absolutely might be able to just out hustle Brandon Moreno. And if Moreno's starting to slow down, if he doesn't like the way those shots are coming back at him, this kid could tag him up a decent bit. I've got faith in my boy. I don't think I have minus 225 faith in him, though. And that's the problem for me. I think this fight goes over because Brandon's still tough and durable enough. I don't know that he's got the heat in his hands to put away a guy like Loner Kavanagh. I do worry just a little bit about the elevation. There's a chance Loner Kavanagh gasses out and slows down the deeper this fight goes. That's entirely possible. I'm gonna pick Brandon Moreno to win this fight, man. But I'm really nervous because I've done a very, very bad job of timing the fall of these guys. Whenever there's an old fighter, somebody who I used to bank on, or someone whose durability is slipping, again, we go back to the Dan Ige example. I am not doing a good job of dictating when these guys are actually going to fall off. So the fact that I think Moreno might have one or two more in him, I don't really trust myself. He could get knocked out this weekend. So I'm picking Brandon Moreno, but I don't know if I can bet him. I'll have plenty of heart equity involved in this one as my current favorite fighter on the roster. I'm rooting for my boy, the assassin baby, Brandon Moreno. But I don't think I can put money on it, man. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's dog or pass for me, and I do like the dog a decent bit. I can understand Moreno being the favorite. Like, it does make sense. This is a tremendous step up. This is relatively short notice. I do think it's been a month already, but it is pretty short notice. He's fighting him in Mexico City. Moreno, how many 5-round fights has this guy had? Like a million at this point. So he's got all the 5-round experience, and he is for sure the better grappler. So, of course, it makes sense for Moreno to be the favorite. It would be strange if he wasn't. But minus what are we at now? Minus 225? Like, to me, that's a bit much when I do think Moreno's on a decline. And I think he has been since the Royval rematch, the most recent one. I thought that I did not like how he looked. I know he's had a couple fights since then. Also, I didn't think he looked great, but that one in particular, the way he was striking with Royval, the way he was looping every single shot, I just did not like how he looked. I was on him there, I think. And then even in the wins against Albazi and Ursig, like, he looked okay. He won, but I didn't really think he looked like himself, like the Moreno we know, the one who was champion. And, the way he lost to Tyra, I'm kind of not really thinking about it too much because Tyra's a very, very different matchup than Kavanagh. Kavanagh's not going to come out here and out-grapple Moreno. He's not even going to try. I sure hope he doesn't. That would be a bad idea. But even outside of the Tyra fight, I do think he's been on decline for a while. And Kavanagh's good, man. He's a really good striker. He's really good at managing his range. He knows when to be in. He knows when to be out. He's very, very fast. He's accurate. He's still improving. He's only 26 years old. And I do think he's a legitimate prospect with a legitimate future. And him getting knocked out by Charles Johnson, like, I think people are thinking about it too much because, again, who else did Charles Johnson knock out? Joshua Van. Everybody screamed fraud check. Everybody was saying it's all over for Van. And now look, now the guy's got the strap. Guys can improve and guys can learn. And Kavanagh, if we're being real, like, he was clearing Charles Johnson early. He won that first round easily. He had his number. And then in the second round, Charles Johnson started to pressure and Kavanagh got too cocky. I think he wasn't respecting the power. He let those hands come down all the way down and he got caught. It happens, but I think he's going to learn from it. So, I can understand, picking Moreno 100%, but if we're betting on it, like, I do think it has to be dog or pass. You got to go with the younger guy who I think is going to be the much sharper striker right now, who's going to be the much faster guy right now. And I low-key do think that Kavanagh can even maybe put out Moreno on the feet early. I do think that's a possibility. I think Moreno's durability also might be going a little bit, and I can see Kavanagh catching him. I would get worried if we hit that 4th and 5th round. I do think that's when Moreno can put it on him. But I also think there's a good chance either Kavanagh gets him out of there earlier on, or he banks those early rounds, survives, and wins the fight. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, this should be a fun one, man. I think this is going to be a very entertaining card for viewing. I think the bookies have intentionally made it very difficult for us to bet on it. I expect Mexico to have a bounce back. I think a lot of these guys are going to win their fights in dramatic fashion. The one thing, though, somebody asked a question earlier on in the show, and I saved it because it's something we need to chat about here real quick at the end, man. Is this card even happening? because I don't know if you guys have seen the news lately. And again, we're not doing, we're not diving into politics and stuff here on the show, but Mexico's under fire right now, man. The government is literally at war with the cartels. Like, buildings are burning. They're destroying each other right now. There's people who are on vacation that are being told to stay inside their hotels. They're not allowed to go outside because the cartels are looking for, Americans and shit like that. It's a mess down there right now. Do we think this card is getting moved and or canceled? Because again, geography speaking, I'm not sure where Mexico City is compared to like large plots of violence here. I'm not an expert on the area, so maybe Mexico City is perfectly fine for something like this right now. But how crazy would it be for the UFC to go, you know what, we're not going to go there right now, or we're not going to send people there right now?
Yeah, I mean, they're almost all there from what I can tell, the fighters. So it is kind of crazy. Like, they've been able to get there, and now everything's going down. I don't have like a super good read on what's happening down there. I just see the headlines and all of that. They might move it. I was wondering that too. I actually meant to ask you what you thought. Like, I think they might move it. I don't really see them canceling it. I think there's a lot of pressure right now with Paramount and everything to kind of keep the shows going. But I feel like they might have to move it at least. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I gotta wonder about just the safety. You know what I mean? I just gotta wonder, because I know it's gonna be expensive as hell to, ship these fighters to Vegas or something like that.
I
But
checked, it's actually not that bad. 3-hour flight, you can get it for $289.
yeah, it's a lot of people, it's a lot of camps, it's a
True.
lot
Their
of
whole
fighters.
camp,
Like,
yeah.
that's a big investment for them to move this thing. But if fighter safety is a legitimate concern, that might be something they have to step in and do, you guys. This is one where you actually want to keep an eye on that 24-hour news cycle for the rest of the week. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm not an expert on Mexico or the politics there. I'm also not geography savvy about Mexico, so they might be perfectly fine. They might be perfectly safe. Obviously, we pray that they are. We hope nobody gets hurt or messed up in all of this. It just feels weird with us gambling on and cheering for fights when there's something like this going on right outside the front door. You never know what's going to happen when shit gets crazy like this and the city is on fire where these guys are going to be fighting. So we'll see. That is UFC Mexico City, you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you guys for watching. Mike, my man, thank you especially for stepping up here on time for me, jumping in here on short notice and saving the show. Appreciate you, my friend. We'll have to get you back on a full card again sometime pretty soon here. If you have anything to tell the chat, you want to shout out a sponsor, you got shows coming up, whatever, the floor is yours, my guy.
Yeah, first things first, thanks for having me on, Clint. Always like being on here. I'm very vocal about the fact that the first MMA podcast I ever watched was the Die Hard MMA podcast. When you were talking about your rule about the 40-year-old fighters, I had a throwback to 2020 because I remember you saying that exact thing when I first started watching, and you were one of the reasons I started my show. So always happy to be on here. It's tough when I hadn't taped most of the card, but I was trying to get as much tape as I could before the show. And yeah, thanks for having me. And as for what I got going on, I do have my show next week. If you guys want to listen to me more for some reason, I will have everything taped by then, hopefully. So maybe I can speak more to those fights, but you can check me out, Couch Warrior Podcast on YouTube, Couch Warrior Pod on Twitter. You can follow me there. And thank you guys for watching too.
There you go. Appreciate you, man. Thank you again for coming on. And hell yeah, Jib, shout out USA Hockey. That was a hell of a game, man. USA versus Canada was an absolute blast to watch. I thought they were going to lose it, man. The third period, Canada should have scored like 3 different times, and just the puck bounced the right way for USA. Apparently it was destiny. It was awesome. Women's, same thing. It was USA versus Canada, and both of them, you guys, I love my hockey. It was awesome watching both those games go the way they did. They both went to OT. It was intense. It was awesome. Love it. Get me back to the regular NHL season, though. I got to cheer my Utah Mammoth to the playoffs for the first time since they abandoned Arizona. Thank you guys for watching the show. We'll be back. Total Takedown, Clint's Hot Props, and of course on Friday for the undefeated post weigh-in show. Get out there, protect your bankrolls, be safe, do parlays, make cash, and have fun. Love you guys. We'll see you soon. Let's roll.